What is up? What is up? How is everybody doing tonight? How is everybody doing tonight? How's everybody's day been? Give me 1 second here. Just opening the chat on my phone. Hunter Grandmaster, what's up? Kona, what's up? Snailium, how you doing? Moss, you said your DoorDash just came at the perfect time. Perfect. Mr. Dens, how you doing? Tayshawn, what's up? Chip, what's up? The real Fat Man is a wild name. What's up, dude? Clueless Make, how you doing? Dude, I'm doing good. It's been a good day today, bro. I spent a good amount of time putting together like the slides for this debate here. Momo's out here trying to box me as soon as it starts up. I might have to put her in a different room in a matter of seconds here. But it's going to be a fun debate. It's going to be a fun debate tonight, man. We're finally doing Sanji versus Zoro. I'm going to go pretty in depth, like scaling the characters here in this beginning intro portion. And then we'll get into the debate portion where people can like tune in and join in on the debate. It should be pretty fun. Really quick before I get started with like going through the presentation here, talking about the different scaling for the characters. If you'd like to join the debate, here's like a quick tutorial. First, like let's say you go to my channel, like you're at my channel, right? Then you go to posts. Then you scroll down to my most recent post here. You click on the comments. And then you click on the pinned comment, and this will take you into the debate, okay? I got to decide if I'm going to put Momo in a different room or not. We'll see how she does. I might end up having to put her in a different room. My cat. Clueless Make, is your Discord open for everyone? Yeah, it is. Just have to stay respectful. All right, hold on 1 second, guys. I got to put my cat in a different room. She is kind of crashing out. Give me 1 second. Come on, Momo. All right. So we're truly getting into it now, chat. We're truly getting into it now, okay? So, Animated Goose, you said Zoro cuts his leg off. The answer is there. They're close, like extremely so. All right, yeah, so let's talk about it, okay? So, Zoro versus Sanji. So, like, here's my stance on it. If you're talking about the most recent arc, like the Elbaf arc, these two are extremely close in power. At the absolute lowest, it's going to be a high diff victory. And at the absolute highest, it's going to be an extreme diff victory. My stance on it is that currently Zoro is more likely to win high to extreme diff in the current arcs of Elbaf. But for my debate today, what I'm going to be saying is, if Sanji still had the raid suit, at the absolute lowest, it would be a draw. And at the absolute highest, Sanji would be the one to win. That's the stance I'm going to take for today's debate. And like my slides and presentation here that I'm going to go through is just like backing up that idea. And then when we have the debate, like, you guys can defend against whoever you guys think would win in that. Okay, let me just close my door so the sound sounds a little better. All right. All right. Ready? So let's get into this. Okay, so here's something that we see here is Sanji versus Queen. This is after Sanji has gone through his awakening transformation. Um, like he's completed his awakening and he's become massively more powerful as a result from that. Uh, then he has this piece of dialogue against Queen. The left translation is the fan translation, and then the right hand the right hand translation is the official Viz manga translation. The right hand translation scales Sanji really high. It says that if Sanji put the raid suit on now after he's fully awakened, it would be easy to defeat Queen. That's what the left hand panel says. If you look at the right hand panel, this is the official translation, and it says he would be a cruel, emotionless warrior of science who can crush even monsters like Queen as long as Luffy gives him the order. Like me just being honest about it, this is one of the situations where I actually think the fan translation makes more logical sense, because what we see in the battle is that Sanji does crush Queen, even without even without using the raid suit, he still does crush him. I'd argue that like when he's using Ifrit Jambe, like the moment he uses Ifrit Jambe, he just absolutely packs Queen up. Like the moment he starts using Ifrit, it's more like a medium diff fight from that point onwards. Like at most, like in the range of medium to high, it really wasn't like even close to an extreme diff once he started using Ifrit Jambe. So yeah, I personally lean towards the translation on the left actually making more logical sense in terms of like how powerful you think Sanji would be if he put the raid suit on. He'd be strong enough to low diff people like Queen if he put the raid suit on after the awakening. And here's the thing, like some people think that the raid suit wouldn't make Sanji stronger anymore after he's gone through his awakening, but that's disproven by looking at Sanji's siblings. Sanji's siblings went through their full awakening process when they were just children, and then as adults, they put their raid suits on top of their normal form to become even more powerful. And then there's a lot of scaling throughout the Whole Cake Island arc that shows you that like the gap in power between like Sanji's siblings without the raid suit versus having the raid suit is pretty significant. Okay, so let's just keep going. So this is just showing you like a brief bit of like why the raid suits are actually insanely cracked. It's the reason why the raid suits are really powerful is because Judge created them, and Judge is an absolute madman of a scientist. He was a co-worker with Vegapunk in their younger days. While Vegapunk was discovering some truly insane things, and like all the technology throughout like the Germa 66 island, it's all showing you that Judge is just like absolutely cracked as a scientist, like to the point where he's creating living clones, which is just like some truly twisted science that he's done. And this science, it's just actually insane, because these people think that they're actually normal human beings, but they're just clones that Judge created. But despite like Judge being this insane scientist who's built like countless creations, he says that his children are his greatest masterpieces, and they're designed to be greater than any other human, just like through awakening their powers. And his all of Sanji's siblings, they awaken their powers in their childhood. Meanwhile, Sanji doesn't awaken them until he's like a full-grown adult after wearing the raid suit. Tayshawn, you said, what's a raid suit? Like, let me see. The raid suit, these are the raid suits. Like, these things that like give Sanji's siblings like more powers. They give Sanji more powers too. Each raid suit is like specifically made for an individual member of the Germa family. Like Sanji's dad has one, each one of his siblings have one, and then Sanji has one, and like only they can wear their own raid suit. Like there's a scene where like Luffy and Chopper were trying to wear Sanji's raid suit, but it doesn't work. Only Sanji can wear it. So like they're specifically designed to like improve and augment the strengths that Sanji already has. But essentially, I was just including these panels here to show you that like Sanji's siblings had awakened even in their childhood, and then they wear the raid suits in adulthood to make themselves even stronger. So like that's I'm pretty much just putting that there to debunk anyone who believes like Sanji wouldn't get stronger from the raid suit. Like his siblings clearly do. Even after his siblings have already developed exoskeletons, already developed the superhuman strength, they developed all of those things in childhood, but Sanji just developed them as an adult after wearing the raid suit. Okay, so yeah, and Sanji's strength, like, here's the thing: Sanji got so strong, like, without awakening, before he even awoken, he was already strong enough to defeat Yonji while Yonji wore his raid suit. So, like, to just give you an understanding of what Sanji's awakening actually was, it was an exoskeleton and superhuman strength and the ability to regenerate from injuries. That's like what all his siblings have, but he didn't get it until he was an adult. But even without the awakening, Sanji was already like stronger than raid suit Yonji, which is pretty crazy. But here are some scenes that start showing you the difference in power between Sanji's siblings without a raid suit versus with them having it. So, like, there's this scene during the tea party at Whole Cake Island where all of Sanji's siblings and his dad get trapped in like an attack from Sparrow. They're just trapped in the candy. They cannot like escape from it with their own strength, and they don't have the raid suits in this moment. Judge then has a line of dialogue where he says if he had his raid suit, they would not have gotten away with this. That implies that with the raid suit, Judge believes they would have been able to break out of the candy if they had the raid suit. But Sanji's so strong that he can break out of it even without having a raid suit. That's like what this scene like kind of implies. Oh, it's just kind of just straight up showing you there. Then once they start wearing the raid suit, they start performing some really like crazy feats. We get some dialogue from Sparrow that states that the raid suits are also fireproof. They're fireproof and they buff your durability and do some crazy stuff. Like here's some feats that they perform. Sanji's oldest brother just like smacks Sparrow in the jaw. And then his second oldest brother is like battling Oven. We even see Reiju's clashing with a second division commander, but Reiju's genuinely like not actually on the level of this second division commander. It's just still pretty crazy that she was able to clash with her at all, or do anything in terms of damage to her. And then you just see Yonji fighting Daifuku for a little bit. And then Sparrow states that like getting punched by Ichiji actually damaged him. And Sparrow is a pretty powerful character. He's relative in power to characters like Doflamingo. He has a 700 million berry bounty. And then we also see him squaring up with Inuyarashi during Wano. He's either squaring up with Cat Viper or Dog Viper. I forget which one. But he's able to like hold his own battling one of them. And those guys are absolutely cracked. I'll get into their scaling a little bit more as we go throughout these slides here. Also, this is a scene of Reiju tanking an attack from Big Mom wearing the raid suit too. If you look on the right, Big Mom hits her with the Mother Flame, and then Reiju just straight up tanks it. So this is showing you like they're really durable, and then the heat resistance is pretty crazy with these suits. Another feat that they perform is they're able to break through Sparrow's Candy Wall. Candy Wall is something that Luffy couldn't break through with Gear 3 when he ran out of Haki. Like there's a scene after he battles Katakuri and he's like runs out of Haki from using Gear 4. And Luffy's like running away from Katakuri to regenerate his Haki. Sparrow tries to block him with a Candy Wall. And Luffy tries to break through it without without Haki, just straight Gear 3, and he can't break through it. But you're seeing like Sanji's siblings with their raid suit can break through it. They also have this feat where they cook 10,000 soldiers by themselves. That's what the right-hand panel's showing. Like Oven tries to jump them with 10,000 soldiers, and they just low diff all of them. Then, okay, this is also another really impressive feat here, and this starts to give you a good understanding of like how big of an amp the raid suits are, even for Sanji's siblings that are like considerably weaker than he is. We see here that Ichiji, while wearing the raid suit, is like cooking Oven. Like It's actually pretty wild. He's cooking Oven, and Oven is somebody that if Sanji were to fight him 1v1 during Whole Cake Island, Oven would give Sanji around a mid difficulty fight. Yet we're seeing Ichiji's just like whooping him, bro. When he's wearing the raid suit, Ichiji is like beating the brakes off of Oven, and that's actually a big power increase because we see at the start of the arc, Sanji is fighting all like there's this scene where Sanji's just beating the brakes out of his second oldest brother. He's beating him up, and like their dialogue implies that they're kind of afraid of Sanji while they don't have their raid suit on. Like as Sanji's beating him up in the beginning, they like make him hesitate by saying, "Hey, if you keep fighting back, we're gonna kill Zeph." And them saying that causes Sanji to hesitate. Then they just start like beating on him. Like this implies that Sanji, if he's fighting all three of his brothers while they don't have their raid suit, there's a chance that Sanji would win even at the start of Whole Cake Island. Meanwhile, just one of them putting on their raid suit is enough to like beat the brakes off of somebody who could give Sanji a mid-diff fight. It's showing you like they go from like being low diff fights for Sanji to being like at least the strongest of his siblings go to being closer to like a medium to medium high diff fight for Sanji when he has the raid suit on. So it's like a pretty big power increase for these guys. Okay. So now this is going to start giving you an idea of like how powerful, wait, what did you say? Andre, you said, what do you think about Luffy versus Mihawk? That's a whole different debate, man. But I lean towards Mihawk. But yeah, I would have to save that for a completely different debate, really. Anyway, this is starting to show you like the difference in power Sanji's raid suit gives him, even at the start of Wano. Okay, so at the start of Wano, Sanji has a brief fight with Page One. At the start of his battle with Page One, he kicks Page One in the head and does honestly close to 0 damage. Page One shakes it off immediately. One of the big things about these ancient zone types is that they just have insane amounts of durability. That's like one of their strongest attributes. And we see like base form Sanji, no raid suit at the start of Wano. He kicks him in the head. Page One, then literally the next page, just stands back up, shakes it off, and really looks like he's just A-okay. He's taken close to 0 notable damage. Despite this, Sanji says like if he wears the raid suit, he can beat this guy without even getting hurt. Then he starts fighting Page One while Page One's in his man beast form. So this is a stronger version of the same Page One that was already just tanking his attacks like it was nothing. And man beast form is actually a pretty big multiplier. We saw back in Enies Lobby, like Lucci versus Luffy, they were like somewhat relative in base form, somewhat with Lucci having the slight advantage. But then like when Luffy went gear second and Lucci went man beast form, they were like still on par with each other. So it shows you for some zone fruit users, man beast form is kind of like gear second for them. Animated Goose, you need to be 5 times stronger than your opponent to low diff them. Yeah, that's true. That's also shown in Enies Lobby, and I'll get into that too. Yeah, that's shown by the Enies Lobby power levels. But anyway, this is here just to like clarify that a bit. We saw Sanji in base form barely hurt Page One while he was in base form. Now Page One gets even stronger, goes man beast form, and Sanji puts on his raid suit. And when they start fighting, Page One smacks Sanji, and Sanji says like, it hurts a bit, but this stuff is durable. The city would fall apart before I do, showing that Sanji's durability is like actually insane while he's wearing the raid suit. Then Sanji kicks Page One in this, if you look on the right-hand panel, the bottom of the right-hand panel, this is Sanji just like drop kicking him from the sky, and he's making Page One scream in pain. So it's like he's performing better feats against a stronger character. Like, if you look at how he did against base form Page One, he's kicking him in the head. Page One shakes it off like nothing really happened. You look at raid suit Sanji versus man beast form Page One, and Page One screaming in pain from Sanji's attacks now. It's showing you that like I would literally say that raid suit Sanji is doing better against a stronger character than base form Sanji did against a weaker one. It's showing you that the raid suit is a pretty big amp, is what I'm saying. We don't get to see the actual end of their battle in the manga. This right hand panel is like the last thing we see of it, and then the next time, oh yeah, this is some scaling stuff I had for Ennius, but the next time we see Sanji is this panel on the left, and he's just like completely uninjured and chilling. But I guess you could debate how you think this battle would have ended. I lean towards thinking Sanji would have defeated Page One. Like, based off of Sanji's own words, he said that he could beat this guy without even getting hurt. And Sanji meeting back up, my fault. Yeah, Sanji meeting back up with his crew with no damage kind of implies that that is what happened off screen. But that's a debatable thing. Like, you guys can let me know what you think. So here's something I wanted to just start talking about. Like, how big of a power increase do you think the raid suit was for Sanji in the beginning of Wano? Like, in the chat, let me know what you guys think about that. How big of a power increase do you think it was? Because I'd say that it was a pretty significant increase. Like, at the think of it like this: in Dressrosa, Sanji literally got low diffed by Doflamingo without doing any damage to him. He was legit about to just get one shot. Mr. Dens, you said it's confirmed by Toby Ropo that Page One failed. Yeah, it's like implied that Sanji beat him and then didn't even get hurt in the fight. And Page One is a pretty powerful character, right? A Toby Ropo, that's the same rank as X Drake, and X Drake was pretty strong. I'm not saying that they're all equal in strength, but like to have the same rank as X Drake and you can't even hurt Sanji is pretty crazy. Anyway, here's just my stance on a quick scale for an idea of how strong the raid suit's making Sanji. Back in Dressrosa, Sanji was like a low diff fodder character compared to Doflamingo. But I believe that raid suit Sanji at the start of Wano, I still think he's weaker than Doflamingo, but I think it's like a high diff fight now. I would argue that it's a high diff fight now. So he goes from being a low diff for Doflamingo, someone that Doflamingo can beat without even taking damage, to being someone who could give Doflamingo a challenging fight, being a high diff fight for Doflamingo. What do you guys think about that? I say that that's I think that's like a pretty like accurate way to scale how strong the raid suit was making him. I think he's still weaker than Doflamingo at the start of Wano with the raid suit, but now if he fought Doflamingo, it's like a challenging fight for Doflamingo now, like a high diff fight. Meanwhile, when he fought Doflamingo in Dressrosa, he was getting low diffed by him. That's kind of how I scale it. And Andres, you said you think Sanji would beat Doflamingo. Yeah, there are like, that's another thing. You could, because that's me kind of like just being nice. You could argue that raid suit Sanji at the very start of Wano would beat Doflamingo. You could argue that. Just seeing him like brush off like super powerful attacks from a guy like Page One, you could argue that he would beat Doflamingo. So if you said that, I would lean towards that being closer to like a high ball of Sanji. I think like a low to medium ball is saying he would push Doflamingo to a high diff fight now. So he went from being a low diff Doflamingo opponent to a high diff Doflamingo opponent with the raid suit. And then there's a few things throughout the series that kind of gives you a scale of how big of a multiplier that could be. Yassine, you said you think he was stronger than Dofi at the start of Wano too? It's possible. Okay, but here's just a scale for like how powerful that actually is. In Ennius Lobby, this is the only time in the series where Oda actually uses power levels, and you can get an understanding of like how much stronger than someone you need to be in order to low diff them. So a good example is looking at the power levels of Bluno and looking at the power levels of Lucci. Bluno has his power level is 800. And Lucci's is 4,000. So that means Lucci's power level is 5 times greater than Bluno's is. And then this only measures physical ability. With Devil Fruit, it's even greater than that. That's something that Jabra just straight up says. So like Lucci's base form power level is 4,000. With a Devil Fruit, it would be even crazier than this. Okay, and we see Luffy versus we see that Luffy, when he's in Gear Second, he's like stronger than base form Lucci is. We see that in this battle against Luffy versus Lucci. The moment he goes gear second, he starts beating the sleeves off of Lucci, and Lucci immediately goes into his man beast form and starts boxing him back. So what this is telling you is, just to make it really simple, Luffy, when he goes gear 2, he's about at least 5 times stronger than Bluno, around there. So this is showing you that if you're 5 times stronger than someone, you can low diff them. And that's also just straight up stated by Lucci. If you look at this left-hand panel here, when Lucci's fighting Frankie, he's like, okay, so you beat Fukuro, that's impressive, but I'm 5 times stronger than he is, and then just proceeds to like low diff one-shot Frankie, and Frankie can't even hurt Lucci. So this is pretty much like right in stone, showing you that if you're 5 times stronger than somebody, you can low diff them. Andres, you said that was ages ago, Lee. What was this? Like the power levels? I mean, it's still part of the series, and it's the only power levels that were ever given to us. And it actually is backed up by a couple different narrative elements throughout like the entirety of pre-time skip. So it's a pretty solid measurement. It really is the only power scaling measurement that we actually have, but it's backed up by like multiple other things throughout the series too. A lot of them, honestly. Like, do I have the other panels with these guys? Like, here. I have this other one up here, too. Here's something else that backs this up. Like, this kind of continues even amongst, like, division commanders. Like, we see that Jack is just, like, he gets treated like trash by King and Queen. And we see that Katakuri, he has this line of dialogue stating that he doesn't even remember the last... Oh, he said it was years since he had last been hit. So it's like, if he ever fought his sibling commanders, like if he ever fought his 2nd or 3rd division commanders, then that would mean he was defeating 2nd and 3rd division commander level opponents without even taking damage. It's like, you can use stuff like that to say, based off the power levels from the start of the series, that would imply like Katakuri could be 5 times stronger than Cracker, stuff like that. There's also different narrative elements that back it up too. Like, they have lines of dialogue in the very beginning of One Piece where they're like, the average fishman is about as powerful as is like 10 times stronger than a normal human. And then when you get to Enies Lobby, they say like a 6 power user is 100 times stronger than a normal human. It's like these things kind of like, they line up. And it's like, if you just master the 6 powers, you have a power level of like 600. And then you have someone like Lucci who is like massively above that. It's like, if you just pay close attention to the series and look at all the patterns, it actually does line up pretty well. And it's much better than just using straight up headcanon. At least it's something that Oda himself legitimately wrote. Like, it's something that Oda took the time to write. So just ignoring it altogether, I don't think that's I don't think that's the right thing to do, to be honest. All right. So, anyways, now we can get into scaling Zoro a little bit. I think somebody asked what arc Sanji we're talking about. My argument that I had made at the very start of the live stream is that I believe that right now, if you have Elbaf Sanji fight Elbaf Zoro, Zoro's going to win. At the easiest, it would be a high difficulty victory. Wait, hold on. Yeah, and at the hardest, it would be extreme diff. So it's somewhere in between high to extreme diff victory for Zoro if they were to fight right now in Elbaf. But my argument is, if Sanji still had the raid suit and put the raid suit on, at the lowest, it's a draw, and at the highest, Sanji would win extreme diff. And that's what I've just been like backing up like throughout this whole presentation so far. I've just been explaining like how powerful the raid suit is, how much of a boost did Sanji get from the raid suit. And I proved earlier that you still get a buff from the raid suit even after you fully awakened, because we see that with Sanji's siblings who had fully awakened while they were children, and they still wear the raid suit even now to get more power. And we see a big difference in their power because of like these scenes here. I'm just like explaining this one more time for the people who just hopped in. We see this scene here, Sanji without a raid suit, was stronger than like all of his siblings when they didn't have the raid suit, to the point where he was like beating the brakes off of his second oldest brother. And like they stopped him from beating him. They stopped him from beating him up by like threatening Zeph mid fight. So like that, and that was while all three of them were there together. Like all three of his brothers were in one room together, and they still felt the need to like nerf Sanji instead of just straight up boxing him. You could say that like if you wanted to meet, I'd say if you wanted to highball Sanji, you could say like Sanji with no raid suit back in this like this part of Whole Cake Island would have 1v3'd all of his brothers while they didn't have a raid suit. Some of you might not even consider that a highball, to be honest, because we saw Sanji was strong enough to beat Yonji while Yonji had his raid suit, which is right here. Like he beat Yonji while Yonji had his raid suit on. But anyways, let me get back to where I was before. That was just me like going through a brief. I was just kind of summarizing it for everyone who just hopped in, because I think we just had like 40 people hop in. And another thing for you guys that I said earlier on was like I was giving people a range for like how much stronger the raid suit made Sanji at the very beginning of Wano. And my argument was that at the beginning of Wano, like if you remember Sanji versus Doflamingo literally low diffed Sanji. And I would say that Sanji with the raid suit on at the beginning of Wano, he would still lose to Doflamingo, but it would be a high difficulty fight now. So he went from a low difficulty fight for Doflamingo to a high difficulty. So like that gives you an understanding of like how big of an amp the raid suit is. And I was backing that up with like different power scaling from earlier in the series. That's kind of all of my stuff that I went through so far. Okay. So now let's talk about like how strong like actually was Zoro in Wano, because this will really like just create more of a scale for like how Sanji versus Zoro would actually go. Because some people, to be honest, some people think Zoro's way stronger than he actually is. So I'm just going to talk about this really quickly here. So during Wano, Zoro actually has a draw against Killer. He battles Killer to a draw back in Wano, like before Zoro gets Enma. Like something a lot of people don't realize is Zoro getting Enma was a pretty considerable power up. So, like before getting Enma, you could really make an argument about like how Zoro versus Doflamingo would go. That was like a debatable thing. Zoro with no Enma versus Doflamingo is very debatable. But anyways, this is Zoro versus Killer in Wano. They both pass out at the end of this battle. Like Killer stabs him in the chest, and then Zoro hits him with Onigiri. But something that should be noted is like Zoro is getting 2v1'd. Like he's fighting Killer, and then right as like Killer swings at him, another dude just like tries to stab him in the back. So Zoro dodges that, and then he gets stabbed through the chest by Killer there. But like also another thing about this fight is that Zoro and Killer were both not fighting with their ideal weapons. Like Killer was fighting with was he fighting with two scythes? Yeah, he was fighting with two scythes, and those are not his like main weapons. He has like blades that come out of his arms. Those are his main weapons. And Zoro was fighting with two swords instead of three. So like both of them were nerfed. And then after Zoro gets stabbed by the scythe, he takes one scythe away from Killer and like makes a makeshift third blade with it. So it's like a makeshift 3-sword Zoro versus a 1 scythe Killer, and then Zoro like chops through him like that. Basically, it's just showing you that they're at least somewhat relative. And at the start of the fight, when they first start scrapping, Zoro straight up says, "This guy is strong." So it's showing you that they're somewhat close in power, and this is just freaking Killer. Okay. And then another thing we see here is Zoro fighting against Denjiro. And Denjiro like is legitimately stalemating Zoro while Zoro has 2 swords. You might even be able to say that Denjiro was stronger than 2-sword Zoro. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This is Zoro enraged at what is this scumbag's name? Orochi. This is Zoro enraged at Orochi trying to kill him. And then Denjiro just comes in and stops his attack like it's nothing. And then Zoro is battling Denjiro enraged, like trying to kill Orochi, and he just straight up cannot get past him, bro. He just actually straight up can't get past him, bro. Like he's trying his best to. He's angry, but he just can't get past Denjiro. And Denjiro's kind of just chilling. Denjiro's chilling throughout this whole battle. But Zoro's like really trying to get past him and just simply can't do it. This is showing you that Two Sword Zoro is like around Denjiro level, maybe slightly below it. And that further backs up like the idea of Zoro being relative to Killer anyway. Before getting Enma at least. Another thing you could say, you could make the argument that like ever since Sanji awakened, end of arc Sanji is stronger than start of arc Zoro. You could make that argument. And I actually lean towards that, actually. Like, if you took end of Wano Sanji and had him fight start of Wano Zoro, he might win. He probably would, to be honest. Like, think about how strong end of Wano Sanji was. He, like, the moment he used Ifrit Janbei, Queen never landed another attack on him. He was speed blitzing him and just sent him flying. He, like, low-key mid-diffed a second division commander that was known for his durability and would have even given Luffy a hard time at the start of Wano. Sanji like mid-diffs him at the end of Wano. Meanwhile, like Zoro with two swords is struggling with Denjiro, someone who might not even be a Doflamingo level guy. Like he's, it's just pretty wild. Oh, Neo, what's up, bro? Neo, this stream will have a lot of spoilers for One Piece, bro, because I'm talking about everything after, if you're only at Punk Hazard, I'm going to be talking about everything like 4 or 5 arcs afterwards, going in detail for all that scaling, bro. So just be careful, man. This will be a lot of spoiler stuff. Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's another argument that I would make and be willing to debate too, is that like end of Wano Sanji would beat start of Wano Zoro. This is just more proof that they're very close in power with one another. And it like further backs up the idea that like if you just give Sanji the raid suit now, he would at lowest have a draw with Zoro and at most beat him. That's like my main argument for today. Okay. Oh yeah, and now this is actually some pretty cool scaling stuff. This is some pretty cool scaling stuff that'll give you an idea on like how strong Zoro is basically. Compared to like third division commander level people, because you see this is Zoro like stalemated by Denjiro, while Denjiro's kind of just chilling and Zoro's fighting two swords while enraged. Then you have Ashura Doji. Ashura is actually completely cracked. Out of like all of Odin's samurai, in base form, Ashura should be the strongest based off of like his scaling and his feats. Yeah, I appreciate it, Neo. Yeah, I just don't want you to get spoiled because this series is very good, and I'd like you to just enjoy it without getting spoiled for real. But yeah, I'm like straight up in spoiler territory now. But anyway, so here I go. All right, so with Ashura, he should be the strongest in base form compared to all of the other samurai. The only samurai that would be stronger than Ashura would be Nekomamushi and Inuyarashi, or I might mess up their names trying to say it like the way it's written. It's Cat Viper and Dog Viper, right? Those two, when they go into their Sulong forms, then they surpass Ashura. But like in just raw base form, Ashura is the strongest because when they were like growing up in their original timeline, Ashura was the strongest. And then like when Kinemon meets him, he says that they're all 20 years stronger now. And on top of that, like the cat and dog lose a limb, so they should be like even a little weaker than that. Ashura is just like straight up underrated. He battles Jack and just starts beating the sleeves off of him, bro. And like this is the same Jack who fought Cat Viper and Dog Viper back to back for like 5 days straight without taking a break. But Ashura just 1v1 is just like kind of beating him up terribly. And Ashura just straight up says like, you're not strong enough to beat me, you're just an underling, while Jack is just getting straight up pressed. So like that's how the scaling for the samurai go. It's like Ashura was the strongest samurai in base form, then below him is the cat and the dog, and then Denjiro is like very relative to the cat and the dog, but probably a little bit weaker. And then Doflamingo is like, it's debatable where you think Doflamingo is. Doflamingo is relative to like Denjiro, the cat, and the dog. He's very relative to him, and it's very debatable who you think would be stronger out of those four. If you had the cat, the dog, Denjiro, and Doflamingo, it's debate. Though you could make an argument for it going really any way, but then the strongest, true strongest of the samurai is the Sulong form of the cat and the dog. Okay. And we see Zoro here with two swords just straight up struggling with Denjiro, someone who's relative to Doflamingo. Okay. And yeah, this is just further proof that Ashura was the strongest of the samurai. He fought Odin and actually like challenged Odin a little bit back in their flashback, like a little bit more than 20 years ago. I think this was like 30 years ago at this point, because the cat and the dog were still children. But yeah, like this is just straight up proving it that Ashura was the strongest samurai, because Odin battles Ashura and like Ashura's goons all at the same time, and it takes Odin an entire day to beat all of them, with Ashura clearly being like the main force out of all of his goons. And Ashura was already an infamous criminal at this point, and like they actually damaged Odin. Meanwhile, at this exact same moment in time, the cat and dog were just literally children. And then we see like the cat and the dog lose a limb. Meanwhile, like Ashura's just getting nothing but stronger and stronger based off of his own words. So Ashura should be the strongest in base. Okay. Yeah, and then we saw. So basically, what I'm saying is Zoro, even three sword Zoro, during Wano at the beginning without Enma, is like around 3rd Division Commander level. Maybe slightly above, maybe slightly below. At the very start of Wano, that's where like Zoro was. He might have been slightly above 3rd Division Commander level with three swords, and if he used Ashura. But like before Enma, he was just like around a 3rd Division Commander level guy. It's really debatable if start of Wano Zoro would beat like Ashura Doji, for example. That's a debatable thing, to be honest. Or if he would beat Doflamingo, or if he would beat Jack. These are all debatable things. Like at the start of Wano, if you just had three sword Zoro without Enma, that's all debatable. When he gets Enma, that's where he gets a lot more powerful. That's why he's like clashing with Denjiro here, like struggling, because he doesn't have Enma yet and just has two swords. Okay. So yeah, now here's just a little bit more raid suit scaling to give you an idea of like how much more powerful Sanji is when he wears the raid suit. Like, just, you know, one more time to keep in mind, without the raid suit, he was getting low diffed by Doflamingo. Now, and before his awakening, that's what was happening. Now he's wearing the raid suit. He hasn't even awakened yet, and he's clashing with King, like stopping attacks from King. And then King hits him with this attack, like stabs him. And Sanji says like he thinks that this attack will straight up kill him. And King's like, yeah, that's his goal. He's trying to like split him in half with this attack. He crashes Sanji into a building with it, and then Sanji just stands up and brushes it off and is barely even hurt. This is showing you that like his durability is beyond even what he expects. And basically it's just his durability with the raid suit is absolutely cracked. He's stronger than he even expected himself to be. So yeah, this is just once again showing you the raid suit is actually a pretty significant amp. And like I was saying before, it's debatable who would win between like raid suit Sanji at the start of Wano versus like before awakening versus Doflamingo. It's debatable who would win that. So he went from being a low diff Doflamingo victim to like a high to maybe beating Doflamingo victim. Well, no longer victim, yeah. Without even awakening yet. Okay. Now, another thing, this is like after Sanji starts awakening, he's strong enough to battle King and Queen 2v1 at the same time. He's like losing the fight, but he's like still able to hold his own somewhat. We don't even know how long they were battling off screen. Another thing we see is that Sanji actually like stays in the fight longer than Marco does. That's kind of with an asterisk though, because like Marco did start fighting both of them first. But we see like Marco goes down first too, because right after this Sanji just gets right back up and just keeps fighting Queen, and then goes on to just straight up win against Queen. So like, and yeah, so Sanji's just pretty insane. Okay, so that's most of like the raid suit stuff I wanted to talk about. and the Wano scaling. Now I just wanted to briefly go over some Elbaf scaling, just to further like prove. Sorry, Egghead scaling, just to further prove my point that like the gap between Sanji and Zoro is very small now. When Sanji fights the Seraphim, out of all of the Straw Hats, Sanji actually has the best feats against the Seraphim out of all of the Straw Hats. So, like, first off, we see he's just taking attacks from them without taking any damage. And Sanji, he actually, like, the way that the attack is drawn, it looks like he damages a Seraphim while the Seraphim has their flame modes on. Meanwhile, Luffy couldn't, like, Gear 2, Luffy couldn't do that, and Zoro couldn't do that either. Like, if you look at this panel here, Sanji kicks this Seraphim while the Seraphim has his flame mode on. You can see the flames like coming off of the Seraphim's back, but he still looks like he's in visible pain. Meanwhile, when Zoro and Luffy are like doing combo attacks on the Seraphim while they have their flame mode on, they just brush it off like nothing happened. That is actually like a genuinely better feat for Sanji than like Zoro performed in Egghead. Here's just an actual fact. Sanji actually has better feats in Egghead than Zoro does. That's like why I'm showing this panel here. This is one of like the multiple examples of Sanji just straight up having better feats in Egghead than Zoro does. This is like literally one of the only arcs where you can actually say that. Sanji straight up has better feats than Zoro does in Egghead. Another example is Sanji's out here 1v1ing a 5 Elder, kicking him in the head, setting his face on fire. Meanwhile, Zoro's getting stalemated using his strongest attack against Lucci. Like you can see Zoro's using King of Hell and he's still stalemated against Lucci. A lot of people like try to say that Zoro was holding back, but he's literally using his strongest move. And Lucci survives an entire King of Hell duration. He survives the entire thing. So that's showing you like Zoro is like at least somewhat relative to Lucci. It's not a low diff. If it was a low diff, he would one-shot him with this. Okay. So, yeah. And like my whole argument is Zoro is slightly stronger than Sanji. Like I'm just repeating it one more time for all the new people. My whole argument is that Zoro is slightly stronger than Sanji. But if Sanji was to let me word it a little better. If Sanji and Zoro were to fight right now, like at the end of Egghead, or if they were to fight right now in Elbaf, it's a high to extreme difficulty win for Zoro. But if Sanji wears the raid suit, it's at lowest going to be a draw. And at best, Sanji would actually win extreme diff. That's my whole argument. Okay. So, yeah, that's pretty much every point I wanted to cover. So next, we can go into the debate portion. So anyone here in the chat, if any of you guys want to debate me on your points, if you disagree with what I'm saying, feel free to join in on the debate. And I'll show you guys a tutorial on how to do that real quick. Just one more time for everyone who just hopped in. So let's say you go to my channel, right? Okay, let's say you go to my channel, you click on the posts, you scroll down to my most recent post, you click comments, and then the pinned comment right here is the link that will lead you into like being able to debate. Gyro, you said, do you think the newest chapter affects things? Okay, so this will be spoilers for the newest chapter. Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. Here's something. Just a humbling fact for like the Super Zoro fans that I just got to let you guys know real quick before I even get into the debate portion, like now that you brought that up. Zoro's Conqueror's Haki does not give him the same boost that Luffy's Conqueror's Haki does. It's actually like not even slightly close. And there's multiple reasons why. So even without this chapter, I already knew that it wasn't a close amplifier because like, well, I'll explain it to you in a couple different ways. So for one, we just straight up see in the Wano arc that it's nowhere even close to the same multiplier. We see that Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's Haki was a bigger multiplier than his Gear 4 transformation was. Because during the rooftop battle, Or let me word it like this. At the start of Wano, Gear 4 Luffy is boxing Kaido, can't even damage him, and then gets absolutely one-shot by him. Then, after learning Advanced Conqueror's Haki, base form Luffy does better than Gear 4 Luffy did. So that's just straight up showing you that Luffy's Advanced Conqueror's Haki on its own is a bigger multiplier than Gear 4. Okay, like in base form, just using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, Luffy is like way stronger than he was at the start of Wano. It's an insanely big power up, gigantic. He's literally splitting the sky with Man Beast form Kaido while Luffy's in base form. It's a huge amp, right? Meanwhile, Zoro, when he didn't have Advanced Conqueror's Haki, or when he didn't have Conqueror's Haki, he was like relative to first division commander level opponents, and then he gets King of Hell, which is his Conqueror's Haki moves, and he's still just relative to first division commander level opponents. It was nowhere near the same power increase. Furthermore, this is just straight up, it actually should be very obvious, because Luffy, for one, like Conqueror's Haki is his affinity, but even if you ignore that, Luffy's just straight up way better at Conqueror's Haki, the normal form of it, than Zoro is. Like, Luffy, for all we know, he could have, like, he learned Conqueror's Haki over the time skip. Like, while he was training with Rayleigh, he learned how to do Conqueror's Haki. Like, he's literally been using Conqueror's Haki at will for the past 600 chapters. We saw it, like, as soon as Fishman Island started, Luffy uses Conqueror's Haki, he knocks out, doesn't he knock out, like, 10,000 Fishmen at once? Zoro, to this day, doesn't know how to do that. Like, people really badly want Zoro to have the same Advanced Conqueror's Haki amp that Luffy has. He doesn't even have the base Conqueror's Haki that Luffy has, bro. He can't even use the base form of it at will. So, like, just expecting him to skip a step have Advanced Conqueror's Haki on the same level as Luffy's doesn't make logical sense with the story. So hold on a second. I'm gonna let my cat into here because I like kicked her out of my room at the start of the stream. I'll let her back in because she's just crying outside my door. Give me 1 second and then we'll start the debate. Did someone say how do I join the debate? Did someone just ask me that? Oh, Thomas, you said how do I join it? Okay, yeah, I'll show you, bro, one more time. So you go to my channel. This is a walkthrough how to do it. You go to my channel. You click on the posts tab. And then you scroll down to this most recent post, you click on the comments, and then you click this pinned comment and that'll do it. Okay? So here, let me let my cat in here real quick and then we'll start the debate, okay? All right. Aaron, you said Sanji stronger than Zoro if he really wanted to be stronger. Oh yeah, Sanji's potential's on a completely different level, actually. That actually is for sure. But let's go ahead and start up these debates here. So, oh wait, let me open up. I have 2 laptops. I'm going to open the chat on my other laptop so I can see the chat while I debate you guys. 1 second here. Hopefully my other one is charged. Oh, it is. Perfect. Okay. Did not prepare for that ahead of time, but it worked out anyway. So I'm just opening the chat on my other laptop. And I'm about to hop into the Discord for the debates. Here, give me 1 second, guys. Let me just open this. And I'll probably hop in the Discord voice, like debate voice chat number 1. It's probably the one I'll hop into. Give me 1 second. I'm just opening the chat right now. Okay. Okay, cool. I have the chat open. All right. And now let me open up the Discord debates. All right. So, okay, yeah, I'm hopping into the debate voice chat right now. Okay. Um, hey, are you guys able to hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Hello, what's up? How you guys doing?
I'm good.
Doing good, bro. It's been a good day. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking for today we can do 1v1 debates and we can each get I can do like 12 minutes per person, I think would be good. So let me just opening up a stopwatch here. Okay. So who would like to go first?
Would you like to go in, or you want me to go first?
I'm good. I'm just gonna wait.
Wait. So I'll go.
Okay,
It's
6.
fine. I'll go. It's gonna be 12 minutes, but I'll go.
Okay. So yeah, who do you think would win in Sanji versus Zoro, and let me know if there's anything like you disagreed with in what I was saying.
I'm pretty much the same as you. It's like Zoro, extreme high diff. But the only thing is like the Conqueror's hockey thing. A little bit I disagree with you as the Luffy having more potent, because I don't think it matters really for Zoro, because Zoro is a weapons master, like a swords master, so he's more deadlier than Luffy, so he doesn't need as much potent hockey as Luffy needs because he uses his fist. And the argument that you used that Luffy, what did you say? Luffy got from a bigger boost in Gear 4th, while Zoro went from being relative to a first commander to being relative to a first commander after getting it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't agree, because once he got King of Hell, he pretty much low diffs King. King doesn't do nothing after he gets King of Hell, so that's the only part I really disagree.
So
Where I heard
okay, so the
like
first.
the last part.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying? What?
No, I'm listening to you.
Okay, so you had 2 points there. Like the first one you were saying is you. So you do think Zoro got the same power up that Luffy did from Conqueror's Hockey? Is that what you were saying with the first point?
No, but no. We don't know that. But you can say Luffy got it stronger because he was fighting a stronger opponent. It's pretty much because Zoro got it and he just low diffed the first commander. We don't know what Zoro would be able to do with King of Hell against like Kaido, because he couldn't do it because of the drugs. Remember, the drugs was affecting him too. All he got the King of Hell mode.
So one thing you had said was you think that Zoro is deadlier than Luffy because Zoro uses swords and Luffy uses his fists, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Zoro's deadlier than Prime Garp?
I'm Garp. I would say, yeah, if Garp punches somebody or Zoro cuts somebody, it's pretty, yeah. One is going to be deadlier. That doesn't mean Garp has probably more AP, but he's not deadlier than Zoro. Zoro could just stab somebody or cut somebody's head off.
So when you
Because
say
he has a sword.
so typically when you say deadlier, it means AP. They're the same thing. Because for example, Roger had a sword, right? And Garp and Roger were pretty much even with each other. Like there's dialogue where it says that they were like had nearly killed each other multiple times. So like if Roger was actually deadlier than Garp, that wouldn't have been a thing. It would have just been, oh yeah, I've beaten you thousands of times, Garp. You've never gotten close. It's like no, they were very relative. So the thing in One Piece is like when you're using hockey, your deadliness comes from your raw strength. Because, for example, there's swordsmen that are absolute fodder. They're not deadlier than Luffy is. Like you could say, Tashigi. Do you think?
But that's not the point. That's not the point I'm saying. I'm saying, like, let's say Luffy uses armament and Zoro uses armament and punches a fodder and Zoro cuts a fodder.
Mm-hmm.
Which one you think does more damage? It's like saying, like,
Luffy.
the Yamato and Kaido and Zoro and Kaido. Kaido actually put like a cut through Kaido's chest. He would remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Yamato is more like has more AP, but Zoro, because he has a sword, it's like he's more like deadlier.
Like you're
I
just
don't know. I just put deadlier in AP, like different spots. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know.
no, that's okay. I mean, I think you're saying like with a sword he can cut, but Luffy can't cut you with his fist, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's other things that factor into that too, because Luffy has Rio, so he can ignore durability altogether and just like hit people internally with everything he does. So that alone is making him deadlier than Zoro. But the other thing that I was saying about like the Conqueror's Hockey amp, there's different levels to Conqueror's Hockey. Like that's actually just straight up said multiple times. Like that's why there's this scene where they sense Joy Boy's Conqueror's Hockey, and it's so powerful it forces the five elders to like lose their devil fruit power. And Dory and Brokey, they're like, bro, is that even stronger than Shanks? Than Shanks's hockey? Like that's telling you there's levels in power to Conqueror's Hockey, right? They're not saying, oh, is that stronger than Luffy's, or oh, is that stronger than Zoro's? They're like, no, is that stronger than Shanks? Because that's like a point of reference for very powerful Conqueror's Hockey, and Joy Boy was even beyond it. Also, there's statements in part one of One Piece where they see Shanks when he meets Whitebeard, and Marco says like his Conqueror's Hockey's always been overwhelming. Like there's a lot of things that say that there's levels to it, right? And what I'm saying is Luffy's level of Conqueror's Hockey is higher. Not just because Luffy has an affinity for it, but he straight up just has way more experience and skill with it. Like I was saying,
I
Luffy.
agree.
Yeah, because Luffy learned Conqueror's Hockey during the time skip, and if you did you read the newest chapter that just came out today?
Yeah. I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, Zoro said he didn't even know that he had Conqueror's Hockey.
Even though, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
he.
yeah. In that point, yeah, you're right. My fault.
Oh no, you're
Cut
good,
you
bro.
off it.
You're good, bro.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, but you had also said another point too. You said I forgot what the second point was.
I forgot. I forgot too, bro.
Oh no.
That's crazy.
Oh no, it's all good. Because you did make a good point. Like the second one was a good point. I just forgot what it was.
Yeah, oh my God, it just went by my head. What was I talking about?
Oh no, it's all
What I
good.
was talking about?
But
Um,
did you agree
oh, the
with?
king thing.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What was it?
It was the king when he got King of Hell. He pretty much like low diffed King.
Yeah,
When you said he went to relative after getting King of Hell.
yeah.
I
That
don't know, like Oda's like power scaling is pretty like danky a little bit because and then he goes to fight Lucci and he's using King of Hell supposedly. He doesn't even say nothing. And he's just let's say he's just stalling Lucci with King of Hell. So I don't at this point too I don't even know.
I mean, you
But
could.
Zoro stacks with King.
I mean, you could just say that like Lucci is like stronger than King was, and then it would still be
King.
okay. But
Yeah, yep, that point.
but
Yeah.
it does seem like Zoro got stronger with King of Hell because back in Wano, like him using King of Hell, it was draining him to the point where he was like about to die. But in Egghead, he's able to use it for a while, and then just continue fighting normally. So like that's showing Zoro's getting stronger with it, I think.
Yeah.
But
And he used like a feat of touching a Gorosei. Is that like a feat for you? Like Sanji blitzing what's his name? Nuzjuro? Is that like a feat?
like
You consider like
where he like kicks the
Where he-
five elder.
yeah, when tapping. Yeah.
I mean I just say that it's impressive because he like stops. I think he stops his attack and then kicks him in the head. Like because like if you look at the panel, it looks like he like kicks his sword and then hits him in the head, or maybe he's just like jumping off of the sword.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I see that, yeah. 'Cause, like Gorosei, they was getting crashed pretty much by like with Straw Hats. Straw Hats were getting free hits on Gorosei, so I don't really use Gorosei to like scaling or feats.
I would
I
just
mostly use like the Kizaru interaction with Sanji, which was pretty good. He didn't really fight Zoro, but it was like a good interaction, and pretty much is that. Other than that, it's like Queen, because Zoro with the feats is just it topples like Sanji. Just the rooftop feats is just whatever Sanji does now. I don't think it's ever gonna touch what Zoro did in the rooftop.
I like
It's pretty. It's nuts.
I mean, what Zoro, the most impressive thing Zoro did on the rooftop was he blocked the combined attack from Big Mom and Kaido for 1 second. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the like the
Then he cut Kaido. He had Big Mom screaming, telling Kaido to dodge. The first attack of any of the supernovas, it was Zoro. It was like, yeah, dodge Kaido. Can't take that attack. It's not a normal sword. And yeah, that too.
That's true, but like the thing is, since Kaido dodged it, we don't know like how much that would have even damaged him. But it most likely would have been weaker than the Ashura Zoro did, because Zoro said Ashura was his strongest attack at the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, it might have left a scar on Kaido, but I don't think it was gonna like chop his head off or kill him or anything.
No, of course not. No, of course not. It was just like how do you say it? How do I say this? It's like you know when they say Zoro, are you really like the captain? Why are you not the captain? Like one of those.
Yeah, it was very
Like
impressive.
impressive, yeah.
It was very
Very
impressive.
impressive.
But like,
Mostly,
oh, go ahead.
no, I would say mostly I agree with you. It's like these Zoro fans, they think Sanji just gets low diff or mid diff. I don't really agree with that. I think it's very close. Zoro got the better hockey, and Sanji is just a cyborg. So I pretty much agree with you. Other than the race suit part, I don't really scale the race suit so much highly as other people do. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think
I agree with you.
yeah, and like you're making good points too. There's not really a lot I disagree with what you were saying. You had just said something that I wanted to comment on, but like I forgot it as I heard you say other things. So,
Yeah, I forgot. That's my bad. Yeah.
oh no, you're
Yeah.
good. But yeah, I'm mostly agreeing with the stuff you're saying. One thing you said, you don't think anything Sanji will do will surpass what Zoro did. I do think I do think it will, because like the scene with Zoro blocking the attack for 1 second, it did break like almost all of his bones. Like it was Zoro wasn't strong enough to like he might have died if Law didn't teleport him out of the way there.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
But it was still impressive nonetheless. But another thing that I say, I genuinely think like if you took Wano Zoro and had him fight Luffy on the rooftop, at that same point, Luffy on the rooftop might have beaten him without using Gear 4 after he learned Advanced Conquerors. Because, like, the main reason I say that is because there was a scene where Kaido did a Gatling version of Thunder Bagua in Man Beast form. Like, he was throwing, like, hundreds of Thunder Baguas, and Luffy just does Rock Gatling and just counters it, like, casually. That attack, I don't think Zoro would have anything to counter that. Like, that was a super strong attack, and I don't really see anything.
I agree.
So yeah, that's kind of like the limit of where I thought Rooftop Zoro was at that point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, ACOG was just a big factor for Luffy. It was, like I said, I agree with you. It was way more of a power up than Gear 4 ever was. So, because it basically, like, put him, like, Yonko tier.
Yeah.
ACOG, because he was going for a little bit, right? If I'm not mistaken, with Kaido and base.
Yeah, he did.
ACOG.
Yeah, while Kaido was Man
base
Beast form
Luffy,
too.
Base Luffy pretty much like mollywops there that rooftop Zoro.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially when you consider like Luffy has Rio that does internal damage, and he can see the future too. Like he's really just a dangerous fight. Especially like if you go back and look at Luffy versus Katakuri, right? That gives you an idea of what happens when one character can see the future and the other one can't. Like Luffy couldn't even land an attack on Katakuri for like the majority of that fight. He couldn't hit him a single time. So
I think the only attack was Merienda, right? He caught him off guard.
yeah, like when
Merienda.
Katakuri got angry, like he got angry and then stopped using it, like stopped using it. Observation for that moment and then started getting tagged, and then Luffy started landing attacks when Luffy started to see into the future. But
The future, yeah.
but yeah, it's like that's
Yeah, I agree. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, I was gonna say that might be how base Luffy versus Zoro would have went on the rooftop if they fought. Like it might have gone like
Yeah,
that.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree. The only thing with my stripes with Sanji is the only thing is that cyborg body that what's it called? I forgot. That little thing that his body is made of.
I mean, his like awakening.
It's something skeleton.
Oh,
Something skeleton.
the exoskeleton.
They be saying it a lot. Yeah. The exoskeleton. The only my gripes with that is like we haven't seen Sanji get hit like any notable like hockey attack. For people to be saying like, oh, he's indestructible or stuff like that, because like Queen was tagging him for Henry Winch, and Sanji was pretty much bleeding. So that's my only gripe with Sanji, because I don't really know where the durability stands, because I haven't seen him get like tagged by, let's say, like a Ryu punch, or like a slash from a great hockey user. So I haven't seen that from him. That's the only thing I need to see. So I pretty much put him like equally to Zoro, pretty much. That's the only thing I need.
Yeah, we don't really know. We don't really know the limits of it. I mean, the only time he's taken like serious damage after getting that exoskeleton was against Saturn, when Saturn hit him with the eye blast thing. But then he just like stood back up.
Was that even on?
Yeah, I think.
Was this was it on?
You know, that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, because there's moments where his like eyebrow switches around. And I think when his eyebrow is switched around, that's when the exoskeleton's active. Or it might just be like it's always active now. I don't actually know. Because like with his siblings, I think it's just always active.
Yeah, siblings is always on, yeah, because they always have it. With him, it's like he has to turn it on. That's why I always say, like, I don't know when he has it on or off. With Saturn thing, I don't even know he had it on. I'm not sure. So.
Yeah, it's a good question. We just really need to see Sanji have another like really challenging fight again.
Yeah. I want to see him go through a fight with like somebody that uses hockey. That's what I need from Sanji now. Like I'm done with the little robotic shit with the Lunarians. The little Lunarian bots. What's their name?
The Seraphims.
The Seraphims, all the Gors. I just want to see him have like a duel with somebody that has good hockey.
Yeah, I think
Hellbath is not going to be it, because then he's going to be fighting those immortal dudes. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I need from Sanji.
I think he's gonna fight either Dory or Brogy, because like that was like if you go back and watch the arc where they meet Dory and Brogy for the first time, Dory and Brogy are like, they say the reason they started fighting each other was because they were trying to see who caught like the biggest dinosaur, and like Sanji and Zoro started fighting over the same thing. It was like a joke at that time. I think they're gonna make like some kind of like reference to that, and then Sanji and Zoro are gonna fight Dory and Brogy. I think that's what's gonna happen next. But I don't. But at the end of the day, I don't know.
I think Dory and Brogy might just get packed by Loki. That might just get used for to show Loki's power.
That's possible
I think that's
too.
What's gonna happen.
Or it might be like Luffy and Loki together against Emu.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be nice. But the thing is, like the giant fights, I don't really like them when Loki's a huge ass dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how Oda's gonna do that.
I mean, if he has two giants fighting each other, then it'll kind of look like two normal people fighting. But like
normal people, yeah.
So I don't know.
But a small person would look weird.
Yeah. I mean, but
pretty much I agree with you.
Yeah, I agree. I think we agree on pretty much most of the stuff. Was there any
Yeah.
like last thing you wanted to say real quick?
Oh, Sanji over Jinbei. I hate when people do the Jinbei stuff.
Oh
I
yeah,
heard the
yeah.
new chapter said something about Jinbei usurping me or something like that. Yeah, Sanji over Jinbei, always and forever.
Dude, that you could make an
These
argument that he
people.
could beat him without even using Ifrit. Like just Diablo Jambe might be enough to beat him,
I
bro.
agree. I agree.
Like he's
I
just
wholeheartedly agree.
Sanji just has way better feats. Like Jinbei was like fighting who's who, and who's who got one shot by Yamato. So it's like,
And who's who? Oh my God, who's who?
so yeah, it's just Sanji's on a different level. But
Yeah.
but yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
thanks for sharing your points, though, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Good talking to you, man.
No problem, bro. Good talk.
All right, bro.
And Anno, did you want to share anything?
Yeah, actually, as I was listening to you, I kind of realized I actually think I do favor Sanji. I literally, up until you had that conversation, I favored Zoro more. And I think it's just because he has that crazy feat against Kaido, right, where he puts a big gash in him, which is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you look overall, there's lots of crazy stuff Sanji has that people don't play up enough. Like for instance, in Whole Cake, where Katakuri flicks a jelly bean at him, and Sanji just dodges it. Like he low key out observation hockeyed him, and Katakuri's like, what?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, Sanji
And,
does have some crazy feats.
Yeah, and you mentioned in Wano, it's interesting because I think the fight with King that Zoro has is more impressive, but it's higher difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, King, he kind of seems like he's obviously stronger than Queen, but at the same time, Sanji didn't really have as much difficulty with Queen as Zoro did with King, where he was pushing himself to the friggin' limit.
Very true. It's kind of similar to in Alabasta, where Sanji beat Mr. 2 and Zoro beat Mr. 1, but was near death at the end. But honestly, Sanji versus Queen was easier for Sanji than Sanji versus Mr. 2 was, kind of, because the moment Sanji went Ifrit Jambe, Queen doesn't land another attack on him after that, and just kind of gets sent flying. But yeah, I think to myself, if he had Ifrit Jambe at the start of the fight, then Queen would have gotten cooked way faster. But but you can't really say the same thing about King of Hell, though, because King of Hell had a time limit. Zoro said it was killing him using it, so it's
Yeah, that's kind of King of Hell, I guess, is kind of Zoro's equivalent of Gears almost, where it's he can push himself, but it's going to be really tough on him, and he might not be able to maintain it, type of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I want to see more of that ability. I want to see him use it more because, we didn't really get an explanation to how this happened, but against Lucci, he was using it, and then we cut back to him and he's not using it, but he doesn't, mention being drained in that fight. So maybe he's, getting to a point where he can maintain it because, I remember in Wano he was saying, the reason he was dying was because, Enma was draining as much hockey from him as it was draining from Odin, and it was just too much for Zoro to handle in Wano. But maybe now Zoro's getting kind of closer to Odin's level. But we'll see. I think we're gonna see in the end of Elbaf how much he's mastered it, especially with the latest chapter. It seems like Zoro's gonna get a power up. And honestly, wait, have you seen the chapter that just came out today?
I think I saw the spoilers.
Oh, okay. Do you mind if I say something from that?
You can go ahead. I don't care.
Yeah, he they were talking about how Sanji might learn Conqueror's Haki too. They made a joke out of it, but it seems like it's Oda foreshadowing that in this arc, Sanji might use Conqueror's Haki for the first time, or maybe his power of love stuff that he talks about, that might be Conqueror's Haki. Something like that might happen.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, here's the thing. I just think realistically, like despite all the gags and stuff, like Oda's not gonna let Sanji be like several times weaker than Zoro or some crazy thing. Like even if he's weaker, it's gonna be like it would still be a really close fight no matter what, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Because it's obvious, like, they're supposed to be parallels to, like, Rayleigh and Gabon, and, like, those two were supposed to be really close, too.
Yeah, and I think that was something I also wanted to bring up, by the way, with Sanji, was like you said, on Egghead, Sanji just kind of did better overall. He did kind of crazy stuff. I think he's just portrayed to be, like, faster. Like, he's almost like the fast guy. Where, like, not only does he block the Kizaru laser, which was really cool, everyone, like, literally everyone, including Kizaru, was just like, how did you even do that?
Yeah.
But he did it so fast that Kizaru, who attacks at the speed of light, like he got caught off guard by it. He's like, what?
Yeah, that was a wild...
He's like, he, like, came out of nowhere. He's like, where'd this dude come from?
That truly was wild. And it's like, there's still mysteries to Sanji's powers, like... He's, like, still kind of figuring them out and doing new things with them. Like, we also saw in Egghead, he had a new move. He did King of Hell, but Ifrit Jambe version. So, like, a blue form of King of Hell. Oh, not King of Hell, sorry. Hell Memories. He did Ifrit Jambe Hell Memories when he kicked, like, Gear 5 Luffy. So, like, we don't even know how strong that would be. Like, that's stronger than anything he used against Queen. So he's, like, just discovering new powers, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is. I feel like there's going to be something with Sanji. I've heard some people speculate that, like, he might actually start turning, like, emotionless. Like, it could be a whole arc for him, maybe. I mean, that's just speculation. Because it is kind of weird that it's like he puts it on and it's like, oh, it's changing me, but then he just brushes it off like it didn't do anything and he's going to be the same. But it's like, it seems like that would probably do something to you, right? Because, like, they probably gave him the suit because they were like, this will turn him into one of us, and then maybe we could, like, use him or something, you know, later on.
Yeah, that is an interesting theory, and honestly, I would like to see Oda, like, take it in that direction. I think that would be good for his character. I think it would just be interesting to see him, like, deal with that. I think that would be fun to watch. But I honestly think Sanji is a very interesting character. Like, I want Oda to, like, move away from all the gags that he does with Sanji and just, like, make him more like he was pre-time skip. Because in pre-time skip, he did have gags, but it wasn't, like, to the same extent it has been in like, Fishman Island or in, like, well, I think Fishman Island was when it was at its worst, probably. And in Egghead, it had some kind of weird moments, but it looks like now in Elbaf, he's kind of chilling out. It seems like he's chilling out a bit.
Man, here's the thing with Sanji, is like post-time skip Sanji, when we got to Fishman Island, I read through all of One Piece, like literally, like last year, pretty much, and caught up. And it's like, I was on such a roller coaster post-time skip, because it's like, by Fishman Island, I'm like, this is the worst character in the entire series. He's actually, I wish he wasn't here. And then when we get to Whole Cake, I'm like, this is the best character in the entire series. I'm so glad that he's here.
Yeah, Oda's good at doing that, man. Like, he does that with a lot of characters. Wait, hold on. Did someone say something? Oh, sorry. I thought they said that they couldn't hear you guys. Chat, let me know if you can hear the people that I'm speaking to in Discord. Let me turn up your audio a little bit. Hold on. I can turn it up to the max. Okay. So your audio should be louder now, but sorry.
Yeah, can you hear this? Can the people out there hear this?
Let us know in the chat if you guys can hear them. But yeah, I turned you up to the max, so it should be better now. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, Oda does that a lot, where he'll have you, like, really dislike a character, and then just out of nowhere he just makes them way better. Like Kuma's the best example of that, I'd say.
Yeah, probably, I think the only character in One Piece, probably, that I've just consistently liked, no matter what, like, I guess not just liked, but, like, loved, was Luffy. There's never been a time where I'm like, oh man, Luffy's here. Like, anytime Luffy's on screen, I'm happy, pretty much.
Yeah, Luffy, like, an interesting thing about Luffy is he actually wins, like, first place in every popularity poll. I think from the start of the series until now, he's always won first place. And like if you look at Hunter x Hunter, like Gon doesn't win first place. Everyone like it's either Killua or Kurapika who usually wins. So it's just interesting that Luffy like is just kind of liked by everybody. But you know, I really like the same thing that Oda did with like Sanji and made him way more likable in Whole Cake. I want him to do that with Usopp this arc. Like there's so much opportunity to do that. All like I was saying it in another One Piece stream, all he has to do is give Usopp like one fight where he has a smart moment and a like cool moment, like a smart brave moment basically, and give him a small power up and maybe give him a scene where he like self-reflects on his previous mistakes and says, you know what, that was lame, I can't be like that anymore, and then does something cool. That's all he has to do. And like so many people would love that, bro. Like because I was thinking to myself, like most One Piece fans that really want to love Usopp, but it's just like him crying every arc is starting to get annoying. Like at especially this late in the game where it's like they're a Yonko crew now, you know. It's like he really has to just like straighten up, you know.
Yeah, well, I think it's really, here's the truth. If Oda decided in Elbaf, he's like, okay, I'm going to give Usopp his big moment, and from here on out, the gag is gone. Like, the gag of him being a coward is gone. My respect for Oda as an author would increase, like, tenfold. I would be like, if you actually were willing to delete the Usopp gag entirely, you're, like, the best author in history. Like, you've surpassed, like, all of them. Shakespeare, C.S. Lewis, Dostoevsky, like, you're number one, bro.
It would be iconic because it's like the Usopp gag has like played its part, and I think like the big payoff for the Usopp gag is like in the beginning of the series he was just a straight up liar, but like now pretty much every lie he ever said has come true. So like now I think he's at a point where he doesn't need to lie anymore, and he doesn't need to like cry anymore, bro. Like I really do get annoyed whenever I see Usopp cry, and I think he was like did he cry in this chapter? I don't think he did in this chapter, but it's like he gets on my nerves, bro. It's like I used to love Usopp, but now it's just like he needs to be more solid. Oh, and Ty, what's up, bro? Welcome to the stream, man. Real quick, Anno, I was going to just like give a quick summary to Ty of like what we went through so far. Was there anything real quick that you wanted to say before I went on this like brief summary? Anna?
I guess not. I guess all I was saying, we kind of got off topic there talking about the series instead of the debate, but I guess all I wanted to say was that, yeah, I think if you look at it, at least since, like, arguably since Wano, like, definitely since Egghead, Sanji kind of has better feats, and him and Zoro are always, like, relative. So if you just go off of what's displayed and not, like, the narrative, then it kind of makes Sanji look better, I think, overall.
Yeah, that's a solid point. Especially, I would agree, especially in Egghead, he did just like genuinely have better feats in Egghead for sure. But oh, and Ty just joined. What's up, bro? But Anno, you had a lot of really good points, man. I'm happy that you're in the Discord. So like, if you want to continue like talking about One Piece, just like leave some comments in the general tab. I will reply to them because you had some very very good takes there. But Ty, what's up, bro? Oh, sorry, Icarus. Actually, yeah, I think you were waiting for a minute, Icarus. So you can go next, but real quick, I just wanted to give a quick summary to Ty. So Ty, like, my whole stance on the debate was that Zoro is stronger than Sanji. If they were to fight right now in Elbaf, I say that Zoro would win high diff to extreme diff, and but my stance was that if Sanji still had the raid suit and put the raid suit on right now, then at lowest it would be a draw, and at highest Sanji would then win extreme diff. So that was like my stance on the debate for today.
Okay, that's pretty. I think that's a pretty fair take. I do think I feel like Sanji kind of gets really like undermined a lot, but I feel like at this point in the game, like really Zoro and Sanji scaling is very like kind of split within the community. Like you have your half of people that hate Sanji and Zoro, and you have your half that like, you know what I mean, link them. There's really no like middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really. in particular, I don't like the whole like narrative thing of like, oh well, they're the wings of the captain, so they have to be equal. I don't really think that's like, I don't think that's really like inherently what Oda is like really trying to do, especially if like we're really trying to get into like a narrative argument, which is really semantical in my opinion. I don't really like doing that, like narrative versus narrative, because at this point it's kind of just like pushing your own idea versus another. But I guess like if the story is pushing, or I guess convincing you more of one thing than another, then I guess you would go with that, right? And I feel like with what Oda is showing with Zoro especially, like, you know, he's gonna fight Mihawk. Mihawk is somebody who is up there with the Yonko and such. So like he is gonna eventually probably surpass the likes of Kaido and other characters, like other significant characters that I just don't really see Sanji kind of like doing the same thing. If he were to get conquerors, which I think that's like a very like big contention within the community, if I'm not wrong right now. Like that's like a very big like, oh, is Sanji gonna get it? I feel like by that point, then you would have a case to be made. But Zoro usually is just kind of like physically superior. I think like regardless, just because of Sanji's performance in Wano and even in Egghead, because I feel like a lot of people kind of downplay him. I feel like he would be able to like, you know, kind of be in there, right? I feel like the gap between Sanji and Zoro to sum it up would be like, I guess, a Lucci difference. Like I feel like Lucci is a really good like middle ground character to put in between Sanji and Zoro. I feel like that's pretty fair. So I don't think that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I do agree. If he did get the raid suit, I feel like he would like on top of what he has already plus the raid suit, he would have been fucking cracked, bro. Blue flames too.
Yeah, I agree with like most of what you're saying there. Like so the first thing you were saying that and sorry Icarus, real quick, are you okay for waiting just like a few more minutes before you share?
Yeah, if Icarus wants to talk, then we could just go back to what I said before. Because I know he's waiting. I'm not trying to crash your stream.
Oh no, you're good, bro. Icarus, are you okay if you just wait like maybe like another 10 minutes? Is that cool with you? I'm not sure if Icarus is still there. Okay, well, it's all right. I'll just reply to what you were saying, bro.
Yeah, what's up?
The first thing you said, you don't think that like Zoro and Sanji have to be even, like have to be equal just because they're both wings. I do agree with that, and I actually think there's a lot of different moments that like pretty much just straight up prove that. I mean, the simplest way to look at it is like they're both like continually getting stronger as the arcs go on. So like, they don't even both get power ups at the exact same time. So it's pretty obvious that they're not always even, right? And it's like, it's also another thing is during the time skip, Zoro got considerably ahead of Sanji. He just had a far stronger master and like just got way stronger during the time skip than Sanji did. So like there was a pretty, like before time skip they were very close, but after time skip like there's a pretty good gap. And in my opinion that gap was pretty significant all the way until Sanji gets the raid suit, and then he awakens. Then they started to get really close in power with each other again. And you had said some other things. Like you had a lot of really good points that I wanted to address, but like at the moment I'm only remembering the first one and the last one. Like you had also said that you think Lucci would be like in between Sanji and Zoro.
I think he's a good middle ground character, and I was saying for the middle part, I was saying like the narrative thing I was going on with the because if we're really gonna push that whole like narrative argument, right? Like Zoro's whole narrative is him like having to beat Mihawk, right? Like he has to be. He's probably going to be like the strongest swordsman unless they make him have like a cop out win, which I doubt they're gonna do.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Like, it seems like Zoro's ceiling should be higher, just because his goal requires more power than Sanji's does. Like, I mean, really the only reason Sanji needs to be strong is because he's the left wing. In my opinion, that just means he needs to be close in power to Zoro. Like, he doesn't really need to be equal to him. He just needs to be close.
I don't think Zoro like blitzes and one shots him in a normal fight. Like if you want to give Zoro all of his amps and shit, like into like Well, he uses Osprey plus King of Heaven, like, probably, but in character, a normal fight between them would probably go high def.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially like when you consider like Ifrit Jambe amps Sanji too, like his it, like the way they were talking.
It's like a blitz level difference.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it seems like if they fight, my honest opinion, if they fight, it's at lowest to high diff, at highest extreme. And I like really the only thing I disagreed with, I do think that Sanji would beat Lucci as well. Like I think for Zoro, beating Lucci is like at most a high diff, and for Sanji it would at most be an extreme diff. That's what I think because
Okay.
I just think that Lucci gets upscaled because Luffy used Gear 5 on him. But, like, the truth is, like, Luffy just likes using Gear 5 and has fun using the form. Like, he also used Gear 5 on just a random animal in Elbaf, to the point where, like, his team members were like, bro, why are you doing that? Like, that's just straight up overkill. I think him using Gear 5 against Lucci was also overkill. Like, this might be a hot take, but I genuinely think like Gear 2, Gear 3 Luffy is like would be able to beat the sleeves off of Lucci based off of what he performed on the rooftop.
I'm I'm not sure about that, just because like even when like after what's it called, like Lucci and Luffy ended up like working together, like we see Luffy in Gear 4 and Lucci in like not even his awakened like leopard form, like, you know what I mean, moving at the same time. They're like doing similar damage to the Seraphim. And I, like, he is holding back in Gear 5. I don't like saying Lucci scales to Gear 5, right? I feel like saying, like, his performance against Gear 5 is a lot better to say, because he doesn't really have feats on Gear 5. Like, he's able to, like, outspeed him at one instance. He's able to tag him. But those are kind of, like, very weird, because Luffy right after can just, like, body him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think at least, like, even surviving base Gear 5 is definitely a feat, just because base Gear 5 should be something that's, like, at least above the likes of, like, Snake Man and Gear 4. I don't think that's ridiculous to say.
I mean, I think the only thing I could say that would counter that is if Luffy's not using Advanced Conqueror's Haki, then Gear 4 with Advanced Conqueror's Haki could scale above Gear 5 without it.
Maybe.
Like base Gear 5 attack. Like not like Bajrang gun, but like just like a normal Gear 5 punch.
I know what you mean. No, I get what you mean, but it's just weird just because of Wano, right? Because we know in Wano, base Gear 5, like what's it called, just performance-wise for him in comparison to Luffy using Advanced Conquerors, he's not really, like it's kind of like Gear 5 just does better. But I have heard the argument of like Luffy overall just kind of getting stronger, right? So maybe that boost of Gear 5 isn't necessarily the transformation being stronger, rather it's just a Luffy, like a general increase, which isn't really, I don't think that's a bad argument. But I think with the portrayal from Wano, plus with just Lucci in his hybrid form already, like, you know what I mean, with Gear 4, and then he's able to use an awakening, I feel like that should probably make a considerable difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do think Lucci is pretty strong. Another thing I was thinking though is like you were saying, like Lucci was able to do combo attacks with Gear 4 Luffy, and that is impressive. But I think it might be possible to make an argument that like just because you're doing a combo attack with someone doesn't automatically mean you're like in the same tier, because like back in this is a debatable thing, like I might be wrong here, but in Whole Cake Island there's a scene where Luffy and Sanji like team up, clash against Big Mom, and like Luffy uses Elephant Gun and then Sanji just does like Diable Jambe.
Yeah.
And I think Luffy's Elephant Gun is like stronger than Diable Jambe.
I think, yeah, no, in that specific instance, I think that's fair, especially considering, like, those same effort Jambes that Sanji was throwing at Luffy, like, in base, when Luffy's, like, standing still didn't, like, kill him.
Right, true.
So, I definitely don't, I think in that specific instance, that's not, what's it called, like, they're clearly not relative in power, right? And there's also, like, other instances as well, like, with X-Drake and Luffy, Like Luffy would
True.
fucking destroy Drake in like base, but then we see him and Luffy like moving at the same time. So there are instances of characters doing that, but we do see even his like Lucci's performance with I feel like his performance with Zoro and Luffy would just kind of I don't think it would be ridiculous to say that he's in that tier anyway in his weaker forms if he's fighting those like higher like Gear 4 plus echelon fighters.
He is impressive. I mean, I think like I was just in someone else who had just came on here. I was saying like you could make an argument that Lucci's stronger than King just because I mean that's debatable, but you could make that argument based off of how he fought King of Hell for longer. Like it seems like Zoro did a full King of Hell duration and then just like went back to normal 3 sword form and like kept fighting, and Lucci survived the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like you could,
I did actually make a video on that. I do think Lucci wins.
Yeah, he legit might just be stronger than King is. And
I think those three in general, like I think that like I think Lucci, King, Sanji, and like Marco, I feel like those 4 characters are like super close in power.
Yeah, they definitely are. And another thing though that should be noted is like the difference in power between like Sanji at the start of an arc versus Sanji at the end of an arc can be like staggeringly large. Like I mean, Wano is the best example of that because like if you think about it, Sanji went from being a low diff like Doflamingo victim, like couldn't even damage Doflamingo. He hit him with like dozens of Diablo Jambe attacks and like Doflamingo like laughed it off and was about to one-shot him. He went from that to like the moment he got Ifrit Jambe, Queen couldn't land a finger on him, bro. Like the moment he used Ifrit Jambe, Queen just got packed up and decimated. So like he went from like not even 3rd division commander level to like significantly above 2nd division commander level in one arc. I was also, I think I said earlier, I think honestly you could make a strong argument that like Zoro at the end, I mean Sanji at the end of Wano would beat Zoro at the start of Wano. Like we see Zoro struggling with
that's not ridiculous to say.
I mean he struggles with Denjiro, bro. Like Zoro fights Denjiro and struggles with him, and like it's debatable if Denjiro would even beat Doflamingo. I don't know. Actually, what do you think about that? Do you think Denjiro would beat Doflamingo? That's kind of like a niche matchup there.
That's one of the swordsmen, right?
Yeah, he's like a little bit weaker than the cat and the dog. Like the strongest of all the samurai was Ashura Doji. He like fought Odin when Odin was like younger, and then he like
they probably I think the scabbard should probably be just like above Dofi. They would probably have to be above Dressrosa to even like do anything by that point.
I agree. Like I'm very confident Ashura would just like body Doflamingo because Ashura fights Jack and is just like pretty much like mid to low diffing him. Like he's beating him really bad. And then Denjiro is just like
I forgot the green. What's the green guy?
I think Kawamatsu.
Yeah, Kawamatsu the beast. He was like doing fucking numbers against Kaido.
Yeah, dude, like all the samurai are pretty cracked, and like I think they all have Rio. So like I think they all just ignore durability, right? Like
yeah.
So they're very strong characters, honestly. Like a lot of them are just packing up Dressrosa characters, like. But yeah, I think like start of Wano Zoro is like around Denjiro level, like maybe a little stronger than Denjiro, maybe a little weaker. It's really debatable if Zoro would have beaten the cat and the dog at the start of Wano. That's like a debatable one.
So these guys are saying, like if Zoro, okay, like, because I know a lot of people are saying, like, they're mentioning the Kaido stuff. If Zoro's using, like, I feel like if he's, like, in Ashura and, like, full, like, Advanced Conqueror's clothing, like, doing the same shit he was doing against King, I think Sanji would just die, right? But Zoro doesn't, like, right now we see how he fights. He doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
He just kind of, like, activates a little bit of the hockey and just kind of just does what he does.
And also, like, I was saying earlier too, like Sanji is like still discovering his new powers. Like he's just constantly doing new stuff. Like we saw him do Ifrit Janbei Hell Memories just like on as an attack on Luffy, and that's stronger than anything he did against Queen. Like he's just kind of like discovering new things with the exoskeleton and stuff that he just got. So I think by the end of Elbaf, I think end of Elbaf Sanji's going to be like considerably stronger than the current Sanji.
Yeah, for sure.
But like yeah, and also if you go back to even in pre-time skip, you could make an argument that like that's kind of how each arc went too. Like end of one arc Sanji would beat the start of previous arc Zoro. Like especially once you get to like Enies Lobby, obviously. Like Sanji with Diablo Janbei would like style on the Zoro from the previous arc, you know? Like I think that might just keep happening now. Like it might be something like that, where like end of one arc Sanji would beat the previous arc Zoro, and like they'll just keep getting stronger like that. Like basically they're just one arc apart at most.
Yeah, I mean, in pre-time skip, that was kind of how it was. Like in the Alabasta, like Zoro was a little bit stronger than Skypiea. Zoro didn't really get to do much. Sanji had like the better like feats against him. Even though in Skypiea, I still think Luffy being like because Luffy was aware of everyone else getting knocked out, right? But when specifically Zoro got knocked out, he was like, all right, but like this guy's crazy. Like I gotta lock in.
Oh yeah, true, yeah. I mean, in pre-time skip, Zoro was like stronger for most of it, I'd say. Like
And then
oh, go ahead.
oh,
I was just gonna say like the Arlong fight kind of like proved that like when they first joined, like Sanji lost fighting. Well, Sanji was injured when he fought Arlong, but he straight up lost. But like when he saw the Zoro, like the injured state Zoro was in and was still able to fight,
yeah.
he's like, oh, if he was healthy, he might beat me, bro. Like, and he didn't say that about Sanji, so.
And then what's it called? In Water 7, like Zoro gets dropped. Zoro and Luffy get dropped by Blueno and Lucci, and then Sanji in water, like on the train to Water 7, is able to like damage Blueno.
Yeah.
So like by that, like unironically by that point, that Sanji is specifically stronger than like the Luffy and Zoro from like Skypiea and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
Zoro and Sanji, and then Zoro and Luffy obviously like close that gap. Sanji also gets stronger.
Yeah, and I mean it's interesting. What do you think about Sanji versus Jinbei? Right now,
Sanji would destroy, bro.
That's what I think too. I was saying you could make an argument that
Jinbei is not up there, bro.
I honestly think might be a hot take, but I think Sanji wins without using Ifrit Janbei, man. I think just Diablo Janbei, Hell Memories, he can win. I really think so, bro. I really think
honestly,
he's Diablo.
Based off of Wano, I don't think that's ridiculous to say, because even base Diablo was already injuring Queen.
Yeah, and like Hell Memories like did like lasting damage to him. Like I don't know if Jinbei could take that.
He's Zoro and stuff.
Yeah, he's doing crazy stuff, man. And honestly, I don't even know if Jinbei would be able to keep up with Sanji's movement speed. Like he was moving so fast that Queen couldn't see him. I don't know if Jinbei.
Fucking who was blitzing his ass, man.
Oh yeah, he's cooked. He's getting cooked.
He's done for, man.
But I think in this arc, like in Elbaf, are you caught up with like the recent chapters?
I am not, but I know about the spoilers and stuff, so if you're going to spoil something, I don't care. It's fine.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say, like, what I think the end fights will be. I think that it's going to be Zoro and Sanji fighting Dory and Brogy, and then I think it might be Luffy and Loki fighting Emu. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's going to be fire. I got to read Elbaf for sure. I stopped reading at, like, the beginning.
Oh, dude, yeah, you got to read Elbaf. It's actually crazy. It's, like, popping off right now.
I for sure gotta get on that.
But
I gotta go now. My phone's about to die, but I appreciate you for letting me on the stream, Lilos.
No worries, man. Thanks for tuning in, bro. Yeah, maybe we could do a stream on your channel sometime too. It'd be fun.
Yes, bro. Probably this weekend. If you're free, I'll text you.
All right, sounds good, bro.
All right, peace out. Stream. Peace out, Lilos.
See ya. Icarus, sorry that took so long, bro. Are you still there? Hello. Maybe I have to turn his audio up. Hold on. Are you able to hear me, Icarus? Hello, hello. I'm unable to hear you. Maybe it's like a microphone problem or something. But sorry for making you wait such a long time, man. Yeah, I'm not able to hear you. Oh, well, we got a couple more people. Icarus, I'm not able to hear you, bro. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's like something wrong with the microphone. You want to try one more time? Yeah, I don't know why it's just mute. I'm not sure. What's up, Type and Dylan? How you guys doing? Did either of you guys want to share anything?
What's up? Yeah, I'm Weedle from the last time.
Okay, yeah. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing good, bro. Time's been flying in this debate. Yeah. It's been going pretty fast. But
yeah. So which side are you on again?
So like my stance on it is in here I'll set a timer since there's two more people. I'll do like we can have like a 12-minute one.
Nah, if you don't mind, like we both can just jump in. That's cool.
If you want, okay,
we
yeah.
join the call together.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine with me. Okay, so like my stance on it was right now, like in Elbath, if Sanji and Zoro were to fight, it would be like a high to extreme diff win for Zoro. But if you gave Sanji the raid suit right now, then it would at lowest be a draw, and at highest Sanji would win extreme diff. That's my stance on it at the moment.
Okay. So why do you have Zoro over Sanji without the raid suit?
So the reason, really, it would just be narrative. To be honest, if I'm being completely honest with you, in terms of like overall stats, like combat speed, Sanji has better feats. Attack power, like Zoro is better. And then durability, it's kind of a toss-up. Like it seems like Zoro can just kind of take more punishment, but we haven't seen the limits of what the exoskeleton can do. But that's like just the feats version of the argument. Also, I would just say like Zoro's attack power feats, what he's performed with raw power, are just more impressive. But narratively, it seems like Zoro should be stronger just because he has like the bigger goals, the bigger dream, and just more of a reason to be strong. Like
yeah, I believe that Sanji is slightly stronger than Zoro because he's been able to keep up with him while being a chef that wants just to see the all blue, and he doesn't have these high dreams, these high expectations, these high wants to be the strongest swordsman of all time, and he's casually keeping up with him, by chefing it up throughout all the arcs. He's just been able to keep up with him the whole time.
That's a great point.
I do think though, I think Zoro has more impressive DC in comparison to Sanji. But I just think when we go back to Wano and the way they both handled their respective fights, because I believe King and Queen are pretty relative to each other. Mm-hmm. Post power ups, the way Sanji beat Queen was like instantaneous. Like the fight was just over. And I think Zoro just the fight itself, he was struggling way more with King. Before their single fights, Sanji was able to fight King and Queen by himself for a prolonged period of time. I think Sanji just like we all love Roof Piece, and Zoro was going crazy on the roof versus Kaido and stuff, but Sanji like below the roof was carrying. I think it's very underrated stuff because Roof Piece was so hype and we all loved it, but I think Sanji was unsung hero. You
Yeah,
know, and then go ahead.
oh no, I agree with a lot of that honestly. Like really in a lot of ways Sanji was more impressive. Like I was saying earlier, like the moment Sanji went Ifrit Jambe, he like didn't get touched by Queen and was just cooking him. But with Zoro, that is like more debatable because it's like if King just stayed in his flame mode, Zoro was going to like the hockey drain of King of Hell was going to just kill Zoro anyway, and King would have won. It kind of felt like a plot induced victory, if I'm just being straight up honest. It kind of did. So that's a fair point. And also like Zoro learned how to cut flames before that fight happened, and like King's last attack was a straight up fire attack too. So it's hard to tell if he like overpowered it or if he just like chopped through it the same way Kinemon chops through like blast breath, you know.
Blast breath, yep.
So yeah, it's like Sanji in a lot of ways was more impressive. I would just say like really like what carries Zoro is just straight narrative. Like just the idea that he should be stronger is like kind of the best argument you have these days because
Can I like interject?
oh yeah, yeah, feel free. Yeah.
For me, I think looking at the narrative, so far what we have is Sanji and Zoro have just been relative the entire series. And my question to you would be, like, when do you think Oda is going to introduce a definitive answer to Zoro and Sanji? Because I really don't think, like, I feel like if it was going to happen, there should have been something that we could have used in the story besides just his goal that could just put him over Sanji, but there just hasn't been anything so far.
I don't think like he's ever going to have them fight each other and have one win or the other one win. Like it's the same thing he's doing with Rayleigh and Gabon. Like we never got to see them fight, and we just assume Rayleigh was a little stronger, but we don't actually know. So I think it'll just stay like that. Oh, Type. It seems like it's like echoing through my stuff.
Oh, sorry. Let me. I'll mute until I'm ready to speak.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
No worries. You're good. You're good. So I don't think we'll actually get an answer to that. But there one thing I will say is like there are times where Zoro was like a decent amount stronger. Like right after the time skip, that was like the biggest the gap between them had ever been actually, because like Zoro just had a far more powerful master, and he just like had a much bigger strength boost than Sanji did. And that's really shown in like the Doflamingo fight. Like in the Doflamingo fight, Sanji actually gets low diffed. Like that's where it became that's where it became obvious to me that it's like, okay, at this point Zoro is just like a bit stronger. Like Zoro wouldn't have got
just real quick on that. I think like Zoro didn't get to fight Doflamingo. Zoro fought against, he had his little clash with Fujitora. But Zoro didn't. Zoro only fought Pika, which was not even, Doflamingo's strongest subordinate. I would say it's Virgo. And he didn't fight Virgo or Doflamingo. So yeah, sure, he lost to Doflamingo, but Doflamingo was was in that arc was a very powerful. He was very. He couldn't even get to the birdcage. He couldn't do nothing. Like I don't think I don't think there's any like evidence to put Zoro over Sanji during Dressrosa. I don't think there was anything there.
I would just say like the fact that Zoro had Ashura is kind of like, well, I'll put it like this. Like, up until that point in the story, Sanji had already used all of his strongest moves, and Zoro, like, still hadn't even, like, tried yet. Like, Sanji used Hell Memories, like, in Fishman Island. Zoro didn't use Ashura yet. And, like, we saw that he pretty much one-shot Pika the moment he found out where he was. Like, Pika wasn't really that strong, like you were saying. I also agree Virgo was stronger because, like, Virgo was actually kind of beating Law for, like, the majority of their fight. So, yeah, Virgo's actually, like, a menace. But, like, I put Zoro a decent amount over Dressrosa versions of them. I say Zoro was considered like a decent amount stronger, just because he had Ashura in his back pocket, and like everything Sanji displayed, like Zoro was relative to it without Ashura.
I was Sanji fought against Virgo, and he was relative to Virgo in Punk Hazard.
But not like full body armament hockey, Virgo.
Oh, we didn't get to see that.
And didn't
Sanji wasn't going like within their initial clash. They weren't both going all out versus each other, but they were more so filling each other out, and it was like pretty even. And
yeah,
even though Sanji got his leg cracked, he still continued to fight until the poison came in, and then they had to disperse the fight. The fight had to stop.
Yeah, I agree. He had a pretty decent clash, but did Sanji use Diablo Jambe? I think he did.
He did, and then Virgo started using. I think he started because he was using Tekai, I think, and he was using Tekai and Armament Hockey at the same time, and he was like, "Wow," because Sanji was using regular kicks, and then he had to use Diablo Jambe to actually like hurt him, like and send him flying, and then they kept clashing with their kicks on each other.
Yeah, because it's like at that point, Sanji's only chance at winning was going to be Hell Memories, and I don't think it would have been strong enough to one-shot Virgo, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm just more so. I don't know who would have won. I was just thinking through the clash, it was showing that Sanji was at least could keep up with Virgo, which is a stronger fighter than Pika.
I agree.
And so I just think I can still see I can still see them being relative. Like Zoro beats Pika, who's weaker, who's under Virgo, and then Sanji's capable of fighting Virgo. And I think it's safe to assume Zoro could fight Virgo, whatever, at the in the same arc. Law was able to pretty much no-diff him once he got his heart back, and I think Zoro and Sanji are pretty relative to Trafalgar Law.
Also, not to overload you with stuff, but from my perspective of the Ashura thing, is that was a version of Zoro straight from like Wano that just overall to me, based off the feats and everything he did, felt very different than the Dressrosa version of Zoro. Since like, I mean, I don't think anyone was expecting Dressrosa Zoro to block Big Mom and Kaido attacks, right? So.
Oh yeah, he was considerably stronger in Wano because he got Enma. Enma made him a lot more powerful. Like at the start of the arc, he was struggling with like Killer and struggling to fight Denjiro, was getting stalemated by Denjiro and like kind of losing the fight. But at the end of the arc, he had Enma and got a lot stronger from that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to Zoro and Sanji, I do think it's very close. But I will be honest, like this last arc, Sanji did just straight up have better feats than Zoro did. He just straight up did, especially with Zoro like fighting Lucci for so long, and then Lucci still standing after like Zoro's last attack. Meanwhile, while Zoro's just doing that, like stalemating someone that Luffy 3-shot while like not even trying. Sanji was out there fighting 5 elders, clashing with admirals and stuff. Like he just had a much better showing in Egghead. But yeah, and also you had said like Sanji keeps up with Zoro without really trying. I agree with that. Like Sanji, I don't even think it's actually a debate. I think he just genuinely has way more talent than Zoro does. It's just like Zoro has more of a need to be strong than Sanji does. Like Sanji really shouldn't even be this strong. He is just the chef. Like it's kind of crazy that he's this broken. He would like literally low diff like 90% of the One Piece verse, and he's literally just a cook, which is pretty crazy. And like the other thing is you see Zoro continuously trains, like he's always training, trying to get stronger. Meanwhile, Sanji's just like not really like that and still this powerful. And this most recent chapter that came out, it looks like it's pretty heavily implied that Sanji will get Conqueror's Haki. It seems like that's a big part of Elbaf is Oda showing Gabon use Conqueror's Haki over and over. Gabon's like teaching Luffy and Zoro about it, and Sanji's talking about like learning it. So it's like once Sanji learns Conqueror, like I really think he will learn it. Once that happens, then I mean the argument for Zoro being stronger than him is gonna be like very hard to make. Like,
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the community reaction during that.
yeah, I mean it was already really rough. I mean, it just got rough for Zoro fans the moment they saw like Zoro was still fighting Lucci after like 50 chapters. Because I remember everyone was saying that he was gonna low diff him the same way Luffy did, but that's not what happened. And that whole time, like this is like the first time in a while where Sanji just straight up has like better feats than Zoro. So
it's a bit of a tangent, but I am a Zoro fan right now, so I feel like I should mention this. I think that Zoro, everything we've seen from Zoro so far, like post time scale, like let me just ask you, has Zoro really had like a great sword fight, like a sword duel with another character? I just don't think he has. I think until that happens, I feel like we just can't expect Zoro to have his best showing. Because I feel like until we get that, it's not like, this is going to tell us that, like, oh yeah, like this is the person who's chasing after Mihawk.
yeah, I think like his his best swords fight was against King, but he was honestly getting slammed on his neck for like most of that fight, and it didn't really get close until he had King of Hell, and then like King's like fight IQ dropped massively, and for some reason he just stopped using flame mode and was trying to run away and stuff. To me that did kind of feel like a plot induced victory. I'm just gonna like whenever I read it back, I'm like if he had just stayed in flame mode and just did that, he probably would have just won. But
Yeah, King didn't even feel like a swordsman to begin with. He just felt like
True.
a Lunarian that used a sword.
No, that is true too. And also Pika used the sword too. But he was just like in his like he was using his devil fruit instead for most of the
I
fight.
just don't think there are really that many characters of One Piece that feel like, Odin or feel like Mihawk or like, those type of characters.
No, that's true. I think his next big swords fight will probably be in this arc. Like, well, doesn't one of Dory or Brogy use a sword? I think one has an axe and one has a sword.
Yeah, Dory does.
Yeah, so I think Zoro might fight him, and then that would be a pretty crazy sword fight. And then after that, I think he'll fight Shiryu, the swordsman on Blackbeard's crew. He'll probably fight him too.
That guy's a little weird. I feel like he's like, it's hard for me to put a lot of stake in that, but he just seems featless, like genuinely.
Well, his best feat is like they said, like when he was in Impel Down, they said he's equal in power to Magellan even before he got a devil fruit, and then he got a devil fruit and got even stronger, and like has been like using it for 2 years, so he should be like considerably stronger than Magellan.
Yeah.
That's like the best thing he has going for him is just like the Magellan scaling. And I think Magellan was like a first division commander level guy.
I would argue that Magellan was stronger than him, even though that is true. But he got put in prison. I don't think he could have beat Magellan at the time, but yeah, he probably did get stronger afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that they jumped him. It's possible that they jumped him to put him in there, or it's possible that he just like agreed to go in.
Yeah, he probably agreed, but I just think from what we saw in Impel Down, I think indoors, I think Magellan is he's extremely stronger than what most people give him credit for. Like,
yeah. Oh,
talk
he's
about
broken.
like Kaido being so deadly and all. I think Magellan is. You get a whiff of that poison, you're done. It's over. Like,
yeah, it makes
you're gone.
it makes you go blind and deaf.
Jesus.
If you just breathe it in, you go blind and deaf fighting him. So like, he's pretty crazy.
Yeah, you saw he one-shot the Blackbeard pirates. Like, he just hydred them. Without them, it was over for them. One tap.
Yeah,
Jinbei ran away from him. Crocodile ran away from him. Like, Magellan's a very crazy character.
Yeah,
Indoors.
I mean, I think at the absolute lowest, he's like first division commander level. Like, because like we knew that Jinbei was like on par with Ace. So it's like it was pretty much like having an Ace right there, and Crocodile and Eva, and they were all still like not enough to beat Magellan on his own, you know.
Yeah, I used to put him in the Admiral tier, but I don't know if he's quite Admiral level. But his threat level is very high indoors. Like it's hard to get away from all that poison and come out unscathed.
Yeah, he's definitely
You
broken.
actually have to like one shot him.
I hope he comes back into the story soon. He's pretty impressive. But honestly, with your guys' Sanji versus Zoro takes, the truth is like currently it's pretty hard to make a feat based argument that Zoro would just be stronger than him. It's like the best thing I could think of is him scarring Kaido is impressive. Because like this is a stronger Kaido than the one that Odin fought, and like Odin scarred him with Paradise Totsuka, and Zoro scarred him with like all of his bones broken and was still strong enough to do it, and then King of Hell's even stronger than that. So you could say that like Ashura and King of Hell, those two are like Odin level attacks. Even if Zoro's bones
are
were
you saying
broken.
that Lucci scales above Kaido? I'll agree with you if you do.
No way. No. I mean,
Oh shit. That's a crazy point he just made. How are we gonna fix this contradiction?
no, it's not really a point because like Kaido just took it to the chest and didn't even fall over. And then
I was saying that Lucci took all of his attacks. He even hit him with his leper hunt attack against the leopard, and it didn't take him out.
but it's like King of Hell is nothing compared to Kaido. It's like weak.
Nothing.
Compared.
Yeah, the way I see Zoro, I think when he's at the brink of death, his last attacks, because if you go through all of his fights in One Piece, he's at his strongest right before death. He has his one big attack every fight. He one taps Daz Bones. He one taps Kaku after Kaku beats him down the whole fight. I don't know. No one talks about that, but Kaku was putting the beats on him the whole fight. Then Zoro gets Ashura and one shots him, doing nothing. And then King is putting the beats on him all the whole fight. And then at the end, I think he hit King twice and won the fight. Zoro just at the end of his fights, he just gets that crazy I'm at death's door boost, and he goes crazy. Like against Kaido, he parried all of Kaido's attacks as well. It's like Kaido was attacking him, he parried all of them in Ashura, and then he countered.
Well,
I would say he blitzed him actually. Like
I mean that is actually in my opinion, that's a pretty big highball of that scene because, like, Kaido wasn't. Oh, yo, Momo, relax. My cat's like she scratched my mic cord. So Kaido was never taking Zoro serious, like, at all. So he didn't, like, for all we know, that could have been like 10% of Kaido's power that like was battling against Zoro. Here, hold on one second. I gotta take my cat out of my room. She's trying to like scratch my mic. Hold on, give me one second.
No problem. Zoro had a perk. 80,000. Facts.
Zoro definitely a crash out. Low HP Zoro, you might get one shot.
I mean, Kaido was attacking him. Y'all can go back and type it on YouTube or read the chapter.
Okay, I'm back.
Zoro parried all those. Even if they weren't full, I'm trying to take you out blows. They all got parried in Ashura. Bink, bop, boop, then blitzed. And then scream.
So it wasn't like Zoro was like clashing with Kaido's full strength and even splitting the sky. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was more like, I mean, I'll just say, I mean, that's one thing you can straight up say because if Kaido was trying at all, that would have split the sky. But nothing like that.
You know
even
what? I have a question. I feel like, how do you interpret the Big Mom, dodge Zoro's attacking scene? Because I believe it was like a dragon hunting sword slash that he used with Enma, and Kaido specifically dodged it. Like, do you think that would have it was pretty dangerous enough for Kaido that he should have dodged, or like how do you feel about that?
I'd say it's straight up like it would have been weaker than the Ashura that like didn't even knock him off his feet. It was more just like that was them sensing Odin out of nowhere. That's more like what it was meant to narratively represent. That like it's kind of like Odin just appeared with that attack.
Like, uh, um, like not like Zoro's own strength. Like you think it's like Odin, like the reminiscence of Odin.
Well, I mean, it could have been relative to like a one-handed slash Odin could do, and like because like the hockey reminded him of Odin, and it's like you could even say maybe some of Odin's hockey's like legitimately still in the sword. You could like make that kind of argument, but yeah, it was just like they said that's not a normal sword. That's because it was Odin's sword. And then the anime even goes like a step further and like they just literally show like Odin throwing the slash when Zoro does it. So it was just like reminding him of Odin, but it was going to be weaker than Ashura because Zoro says that was my strongest attack. I thought it would knock you off your feet. That's another reason why I say like to be completely honest, Zoro's Ashura that he did against Kaido really is not that strong because
Well, Zoro, you did say Zoro was nerfed. That was post him taking the Conqueror of the Sea or whatever the attack score.
that's true.
Double attack.
That's true. All his bones were broken, but like the thing is, Zoro straight up says that was my strongest attack. I thought it would at least knock you on your back, and then Luffy in base form with one punch sends him flying right onto his back right after that. It was like it's showing you that Luffy even in base form is like on par with that Ashura, if not stronger.
Yeah, I just think Luffy's substantially stronger than Zoro.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that Zoro scene is cool, but it's really not that crazy.
Okay.
That's kind of my stance on it. I don't think it's that crazy. Like I think like yeah, like stuff Luffy does throughout the fight is more impressive than that. I think it might have scarred Kaido though. Like if he got hit by that slash, it might have scarred him. But I don't think it would have done as much damage as Ashura.
Yeah, it's just because like Odin gives him PTSD.
Yeah.
The scar, the permanent scar. So I guess that could be argued that's just his natural reflex to see Odin and run away.
And I think you could make the argument that was the strongest attack so far, though. Like, out of anything that had been done up to that point, you could say that slash was the strongest so far.
I think that's pretty for sure. Yeah, because nobody else really did anything substantial to Kaido. And Kaido was basically just face tanking pretty much every single thing everybody did against him. That was like the one time he dodged.
No, yeah, definitely. But guys, I think I'm about to call it on the debate. Was there any like last points you guys wanted to share?
Can you hear me?
Oh wait, Icarus, I could hear you now.
Yeah, sorry. It was something to do with my phone. But one point I wanted to make, this will take like 10 seconds, is the narrative is that Zoro is stronger than Sanji. Like, in every chapter, every arc, he is always the one to fight the number 2, whereas Sanji fights the number 3. And then, Usopp, and so on.
Yeah, that just lacks nuance.
Well, I would say like just a quick counter to that.
So,
oh, sorry, you're
because of that. I don't think there's any I think who was it? Tyler. He made a lot of great points like with the power scaling, but I don't think One Piece is necessarily like it's not something you can power scale just like based off of power as much. Like I feel like the narrative has more leeway within how you scale the main crew. And obviously Zoro is the number 2 and Sanji is number 3. And that goes within like pretty much every arc. Zoro fights the number 2.
I agree with that. I mean, those are good points. One thing I would say though is there are times in the series where Sanji is stronger. For example, there's a point in Wano where Zoro only has two swords and he's fighting against Denjiro and like struggling with him, but Sanji has the raid suit at that point. So like at that point of Wano,
But that is also Zoro fighting with two swords and not three.
but I am saying like there are chapters where Sanji is stronger than Zoro. Like at that point, if like all Zoro had was two swords, if he fought raid suit Sanji, he would most likely lose at that point. Another example are like all the arcs where Zoro's injured throughout pre-time skip. Like injured Zoro is definitely losing to healthy Sanji. And then
Yeah.
so there are some chapters where Sanji is stronger, but I do agree with what you're saying, like with the narrative point, like Zoro is probably slightly stronger throughout most of it. But I do think right now Sanji does have better feats, but I do agree. I do think that narratively Zoro should still be like slightly stronger, even though his feats in the last arc weren't as good as Sanji's in the last arc.
Yeah, I agree that Sanji does have better feats at times. It's just, I don't think the narrative, like, I don't think you can ignore that. You know, I think, Sanji's the right hand, he's a dominant hand. And because of that, I think it's always going to be, like, extreme diff Zoro winning. Outside of, very few moments within the manga.
That's
Not to cut you guys off. I'm probably gonna head out. It was nice talking to you.
oh no worries, bro. Thank you for tuning in, man.
No problem. No problem. I might be back soon. Who knows?
Sounds good, bro.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.
You too. And yeah, Icarus. Only thing I could say like to counter that would be when Zoro and Sanji are old, if Zoro gets sick and Sanji's like still healthy, then I would say Sanji would win in that case. And cause like another thing we see is like with Rayleigh and Gabon. Rayleigh just like has been chilling for a while, been completely retired, but Gabon might have still been fighting like an Elbaf. We don't know. So like in their old age right now, Gabon might actually be stronger. So like stuff like that can happen too.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I feel like One Piece isn't so much a manga you can power scale. I feel like the narrative is more important than the power scaling, if that makes sense.
No, I see what you're saying. I mean, I would honestly think.
I mean, that's like my only point. So if anyone else wants to jump in,
Can I say something real quick? Sorry to come back.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to say, I think the number 2 versus number 3 thing is kind of like, that's what you call like a begging the question fallacy, where it already assumes the number 2 guy is always the strongest, right? But like, that's what's in question is the number 3 guy on Luffy's crew stronger than the number 2 guy? But if your argument is, well, he's always stronger because he always fights the number 2 guy, well, you're assuming that means the number 2 guy is always stronger. The argument like assumes itself.
I mean, my response to that would be, why does Oda write Zoro fighting the number 2 and never Sanji?
Because Zoro's the number 2. He's like the second guy that was ever even on the crew. He has like the most seniority of anyone too. Like he was always there.
But, I mean, that kind of begs the point. Like,
Well, I would say one thing real quick.
I don't want to be redundant. Like, that is pretty much my entire point.
No, that's fair. But there is one arc where Sanji fights a stronger opponent. It's in Fishman Island because Zoro is like injured and he fights Hachi, but Sanji actually fights the number 2 that arc. But
okay, I will give you that. But that was what, like 5 arcs ago, 4 arcs ago.
Like it was like very start. But I do see what you're saying, man. Like you do have a good point too. And
I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like with One Piece, it's not so much like a power scaling manga. Like, just narratively, I feel like the narrative holds more power to kind of what goes on in like the power scaling verse.
I honestly I do think that One Piece is more of a storytelling series than a like
Yeah.
it's more of storytelling than it is a battle shonen. But guys,
Yeah, yeah, like
I actually am going to close out the debate. Just real quick, what Cosmic Cookie? Did you want to say anything, or were you just listening in? Or Cosmic might just be listening.
Can you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Did you want to share any like point real quick before I close out the stream?
Yeah, yeah. The narrative is that Sanji and Zoro are actually equal, not that Zoro is stronger.
Yeah, that is possible too. That's like a whole other debate on its own.
I think that's very debatable.
But
Hey, I just wanted to say, yeah, if you're closing it out, goodbye. Nice talking to you.
yeah, peace out, Anno. And Cosmic, that is a good point. I mean, just like one thing I could say to that, like I guess like the only counter I would have to that is just legitimately just the height rival scaling thing, where they have like
Yeah.
multiple rivals, and the stronger of the two has like is just 1 centimeter taller, but because it's like that with King and Queen, it's like that with Shanks and Mihawk, and like that with Sanji Zoro. But even some like a lot of people don't really like that, but
Yeah.
but yeah, you might be right, Cosmic, and maybe it is, but maybe it is just meant to be equal. But I think I'm going to call it there for the debate. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm gonna close out this Discord, but thank you guys for tuning into this one. All right.
Yeah. Good night, Lilo. Congrats on the blue belt, by the way.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night. See you guys. Okay, chat. That was it for the Sanji versus Zoro debate. I will go back and read I'm gonna have to go back and read these chats like at a different time. I might do a gaming stream right now. I got a lot of work left to do, bro. I have a bunch of scripts written out and I need to record those. So I got a lot of stuff left to do. I'm not sure if I'll do a gaming stream or if I'll just go to sleep or if I will record the next couple videos, because I need to get bare minimum like one of these power scaling videos I have written. I need to get one of them posted this weekend, at least one. So I'll have to think about that. Andre, you said, what I hate with Zoro fans, they believe he low diffs Sanji and it's not a close fight. No one thinks Sanji wins. We just think it's close. Well, yeah, it's definitely not low diff. Like, and Zoro himself says that it's like difficult to be above Sanji, and that's like even him with trash talking saying that. But a lot of things show that it's very close. But all right, guys, that's everything for this stream. Thank you for all tuning in. I didn't see a lot of these comments in the chat during the debate portion, but I will like something I do is like I watch the live streams over and I just read all the chat. So just know that I will read your chat eventually. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this Zoro versus Sanji debate. Anyone who, whoops, just slapped my mic. Anyone who's like watching this as a video later on, if there's anything that you like disagreed with in this stream, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I appreciate all the comments, and I will see you guys